Alrighty, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Sunday morning live stream for Week 2 of the 2025 fantasy football season. As over the next 3 hours, we're talking all things related to fantasy football, starter sit questions to help ourselves set our lineups as we approach this glorious weekend of football. Now, again, in the next 3 hours, there are going to be many of questions, whether it be in a half, full PPR, or even standard league, or potentially tight end premium, 6 point per passing touchdown. Doesn't matter. Whatever your scoring format is, whenever you guys ask a question, whether it's in the live chat, whether it's in the super chat, make sure you include your scoring format. It is incredibly important that that is included so that obviously it makes it easier for myself to answer and, of course, other members of this community within the live chat to be able to help answer said questions. Now, in order to also continue to help answer questions, we have rankings right here. So what I'll go ahead and do real quick. That's not what I wanted to do. I'll go ahead and let me just reset this back to running back to begin and just kind of give you guys an understanding. These are updated rankings as of this morning. No players that have played so far are on this list anymore. So anybody on the Washington Commanders or Green Bay Packers game, no longer included. So I've gone ahead and updated these rankings as of this morning for a half PPR scoring format. So my top 36 running backs, along with wide receivers, my top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends, and of course my top 12 kickers and defenses available on screen to help answer your questions. Now again, there may be a lot of differences between Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday rankings in comparison to the rankings that are currently represented on screen, and that's primarily because of the research that I've done, the injuries that have taken place, and of course all the film that I've watched over the course of this week leading to these opinions being as such. I'm sure you guys are going to ask me about them. But as we approach, this is a far better, I would say, week than week 1. If we traveled to, this time last week, we were all worried about Christian McCaffrey, his current status, all that kind of jazz. So hopefully we're not really worried about too many injury status going into this week. We already know which players are out, which players are, trending towards playing, which is an incredible positive. Once we're on that page, we'll be good to go. Now, real quick reminder. As it says right here, Patreon. Again, if you guys want to get my rankings, they're available there. For those of you who are members of the Patreon, again, those rankings specifically have been posted already this morning. For those of you who have signed up via the Betr sign up, of course, using code Andrew, making that first time deposit, minimum of $10, and then using, those $10 that you deposited to make a $1 minimum play. Those rankings have also been sent out. So, of course, be sure to check your spam folder. Thank you. Okay. With that all covered, let's immediately get into answering questions because I know there's a lot of them. And of course, I want to get us off on the right foot here, shall we? Beginning with the first question of this evening, or this morning, in fact. We have Shane Howard, who says, "Hey, Andrew, start defense, Steelers, Cardinals, Chargers." Okay, so of those available, again, the defensive rankings are going to pop up on screen here, but in order to kind of get ahead of that, you have the Steelers, Cardinals, and Chargers. As of right now, Steelers are my number 8, the Chargers are my number 9, and the Cardinals are my number 6. So I play the Arizona Cardinals taking on Bryce Young and the Carolina Panthers. As of right now, that's what I would suggest as the highest ranked defense. Now, again, if you are looking towards, hey, I'm just going to start the Los Angeles Chargers or Pittsburgh Steelers defense every week for the remainder of the season, then you can stick with one of those as they're all in my top 8 ranking, my top 9 rankings of this week. But if you were just streaming, then I specifically just tell you to play the Arizona Cardinals as it currently stands. As for your next question, Shane Howard says, start one wide receiver and one flex between Tedorola McMillan, DK Metcalf, Rome Odunze, Tyler Warren, Judkins, or Walker. RB2 is Henderson or Walker. Okay, so between the bunch here, it depends on scoring format, I suppose, but ultimately, actually it doesn't depend on scoring format. I'm always going to go Henderson over Walker this week, whether it is half PPR or full PPR. Even in the event in which it's a standard, I think Henderson might even be a better play. Now, again, obviously a lot of the standard revolves around total touches, and Henderson may not be implicated for too much within the rushing category, but still what he was able to contribute in terms of the receiving game, and based on how inefficient Ramondre Stevenson was, I'm expecting a little bit more workload for Henderson this evening. Now, in regards to the specific options you have available, for sure playing Tedorola McMillan as your wide receiver, and then within your flex position, if I'm comparing, it's probably DK Metcalf. Honestly, that's the way I go about it. Those are my 2 highest ranked, I believe. Let me just check and see where I have Tyler Warren compared to Metcalf. Yeah, as it currently stands, DK Metcalf, Tedorola McMillan, those are the 2 highest ranked players going into this week. Thank you. All right. Revelant sends it a question. Says, start one running back in a PPR. We have Mason, Samson, Walker. I need a lock. Okay, so there's many ways in which you can go about this. Mason, yes, he's going to get himself a far greater opportunity share on the ground. Samson is expected to be, the receiving back with Judkins and his overall snaps being monitored over the course of this week. They're not going to give, Judkins a full role. There's a reason why you guys don't see him ranked within my top 36 this week, because I don't think this is a week in which we're playing him. And then Walker, again, he is still going to be fighting for touches, very similar to Mason, for opportunity. So if I'm looking for one of these running backs to be my guy, I'm going to start Walker there. I don't think Samson's going to be able to live up to the opportunity share where he had with 16 routes ran and 8 targets of last week. I don't think that's going to be a consistent factor within this offense. So I'd lean towards Walker, who's obviously still the starting running back for his team and clearly going to get the majority of the receiving workload, whether it's lining up out wide or out of the backfield. A lot of opportunities going in the direction. And of course, he still out-carried Charbonnet last week. They're just swapping off every other drive, pretty much. Thank you. Step by Step sends in a question. Says, good morning, Andrew. Please pick in a full PPR, Waddle, Quentin Johnson, or Tyron Tracy. All right, let me see where I have Waddle in comparison to Tracy. Let's see where he ends up in these rankings. As it currently stands, yeah, Tracy would be my answer. Tracy would be 1, Waddle would be 2, and then your final option there of Quentin Johnson would be 3. The separation between Waddle and Tracy is about 5 ranks. But I do think that Tracy will play a significantly greater role within the offense. I mean, he ran like 35 routes last week. The fact that he was only targeted 3 times, 10% of the routes that he ran, I think is incredibly low in comparison to where we have seen Russell Wilson with his backs over the course of the last couple seasons. So I think that number is going to jump over the course of today's game against, specifically against the Dallas Cowboys. So expect that to be an expanded upon number. Waddle is not a bad play. I'm just always concerned about whenever Waddle's dealing with an injury, I'm afraid of ever playing him and then he re-aggravates that injury and leaves the game. So that always sketches me out in that circumstance. Thank you. Anonymous sends in a question. Thank you very much. Says, in a half PPR, am I crazy to flex Palmer over Jennings / Juwan Johnson? So flexing Josh Palmer over those following names, I don't know if it's not technically crazy, but I think you get a better sense of, okay, so here's the thing. Josh Palmer, Keon Coleman benefited greatly from the fact that that was a game that was a pure negative game script. In the event in which the Buffalo Bills are not in a shootout today, and the Buffalo Bills are dominating and have a very substantial lead, will Palmer still be as implicated as he was last week? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Because if we're putting him in a position to where he's not going to get as much opportunity in terms of targets, then it may not be as worth of a play in comparison. If I was in your position, I'm playing Juwan Johnson there. I mean, again, if it wasn't for the fact that he dropped that touchdown at the end of the game, I think many of us wouldn't even be questioning whether or not we're playing Johnson. Thank you. Cinco2X sends in a question. Thank you, Cinco. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Says PPR, Dak Prescott or Justin Herbert. I'd rather play Justin Herbert this week. Says Johnson or Njoku. As it currently stands between Juwan Johnson and Njoku, I'll lean towards Johnson there. Metcalf or Hill, I'd go with Tyreek Hill. Nick Chubb or Kenneth Walker. That's an interesting one. Okay, so if Nick Chubb was ever to be implicated for receiving utilization, I'd feel super comfortable playing him there, but I don't expect that to be the case. And considering I don't expect him to get any sort of workload within the receiving category, and Walker's already implicated as the primary lead receiving back, I would just probably lean in the direction of Walker there. Your next question was Metcalf or Pearsall. I'd lean towards Metcalf there. And then the final question is Pickens, Diggs, or Keon Coleman, to which I would tell you to play Keon Coleman there. Thank you. Ben Pierce sends in a question. Thanks, Ben. Appreciate it. Says full PPR. Should I trade Dobbins / Evans for Trey Benson and JSN? I've got Ibuka and a good running back / wide receiver depth. So basically, you'd be making this trade purely just for JSN because Trey Benson's not going to be contributing to your team. He's pretty much a handcuff at this circumstance. Obviously, in week 1, played a pretty good chunk of snaps, primarily because, again, they played against the New Orleans Saints. And I would assume that Trey Benson's still going to play a pretty good volume of snaps today and get himself a good couple rushing attempts, primarily because of the lead that they'll be able to maintain. But this is purely a trade of, in my mind, a 2-for-1. You're sending away Evans and Dobbins in order to get JSN. And that's a huge upgrade in my mind in terms of the opportunity share that JSN will be exposed to. I mean, this last week, 50% of the target share within the offense, and he accounted for 82% of the receiving yards of the offense. In a full PPR, it makes sense. Assuming, again, the RB and wide receiver depth that you have is truly expansive to your bench to where when the bye weeks start to hit in a couple weeks here, it's not going to negatively impact you to a rate to where you're going to regret this trade. If you're not going to regret it because, again, you have a solid group, you don't want to, of course, start Evans and Ibuka every week, I think this is a solid move. Moon007 says full PPR. Pick a tight end and a flex between Njoku, Fannin, Loveland, Egbuka, Sutton, Pearsall, and Tracy Jr. Okay. So of the available, considering the tight ends you have available to you, Njoku, Fannin are the only two that I'm willing to start. Loveland, we're going to leave out of the conversation until further notice. Again, when you compare Loveland's overall snap shares compared to Cole Kmet played 90% of the snaps. Loveland's still sitting at about 54%. And obviously the routes ran, was very much so in the same kind of unfortunate situation to where Loveland was kind of on the outside looking in there in this most recent game against the Minnesota Vikings. I'm going to give Njoku another run at it. If you wanted to play Fannin, I don't have an issue with it at all. I have them both ranked, within this top 12 to 13 in a full PPR. Specifically, the separation between the two in a full PPR, I currently would have, let's see here, Njoku as my number 8 and Fannin as my number 13 at tight end. I just want to give Fannin another look before I'm throwing him out there into my lineup. I think Njoku can still be a relevant piece within this offense. It's just, again, a lot of what the game plan of last week was get Fannin the ball because he's open. And I think Njoku could, of course, see a little bit more potential opportunity share now that the Ravens have seen, okay, let's make sure this Fannin guy doesn't go buck wild on us. So yeah, I'm leaning towards Njoku there. As for your next question, Egbuka, Sutton, Pearsall, Tracy Jr., give me Sutton there. Thank you. Speaker P sends in a question, says, should I trade Kincaid for Strange? Or sorry, that's trade. Should I start Kincaid or Strange? As of right now, I'm leaning towards the Brett and Strange play. Again, the primary reason I'm kind of leaning in that direction is because of the implicated shootout against the Cincinnati Bengals, and then subsequently after. If we're going to see a lot more, defensive snap share from Travis Hunter, that'll leave a lot of opportunity for Brett and Strange within the slot receiving role. And of course, the Cincinnati Bengals are arguably the best matchup at the tight end position. So Strange should be at a higher capacity than he normally is in terms of opportunity share within the given matchup. So I'm leaning towards Strange there. Thank you, Speak Your Piece. Appreciate it. BVN Woody sends in a question. Says, full PPR. Should I start Tedero McMillan or Kayshon Boutte? I play McMillan there. Thank you. Crip sends in a question. Says, I need to flex in a full PPR between Sutton, ETN, Ricky, Keenan, and Adams. Yeah, I think it's between Sutton and ETN. As it currently stands, I have Courtland Sutton just slightly ahead of ETN. I don't mind playing one or the other in the event in which you felt incredibly comfortable about the idea of going with ETN against Cincinnati, but I do prefer to play Sutton in this circumstance. He is projected more within my overall model. Thank you. All right, really quickly before we continue. Good morning. Welcome to week 2 of the 2025 fantasy football season. Again, like I mentioned earlier, over the course of the next, 2 hours and 50 minutes here, we're answering any and all fantasy football related questions. If you guys are just new in getting here to the channel, remember that the rankings that are here and filtering are updated as of this morning. So these are not the same rankings from Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday's videos that I posted here on the channel. These rankings are specifically updated with all the context that I've gathered and information I've gathered in order to potentially project in the right direction as to which way we are starting these studs. So again, if you are looking for my rankings, they are on screen. Again, if you guys have questions regarding flex rankings, all that kind of jazz, be sure to go ahead and ask away in the live chat, and or you can check out the Patreon where, of course, you'll find rankings there. Like I mentioned before, Patreon, those rankings were posted earlier this morning, and same thing with those of you who signed up via code Andrew via Betr and made out that entire process. Once you've done that, again, you should be able to receive those rankings sent out earlier this morning. Please check your spam folder. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We had a question. We had Mason Davis send in something, and we had Patrick 510 send in something. Really quickly, guys, a reminder, super chats, if you guys are going to send those in, please include your message attached to it. That'd be incredibly helpful, because primarily what happens is whenever you guys send in these questions, by the time I get to them, because I'm so backlogged, unfortunately, that question is not going to probably be in the live chat. So I'm going to have to go looking for it. So I'm going to preemptively tell Mason Davis, if you can, retype in your question. Same thing with you, Patrick 510. Just go ahead and retype that into the live chat, and I'll get to it right now. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Michael Schmidt sends in a question. Says, do I play Hunter, Henry, or pick up Brock Bowers as backup? I mean, look, Brock Bowers is expected to play. So if I was in your position and you had Brock, okay, but here's the thing. Do you have Brock Bowers? That's the question. If you're just asking me Michael Mayer versus Hunter Henry, I'd rather just play Hunter Henry, because I don't want to have to deal with what comes tomorrow. Tomorrow is the Los Angeles Chargers taking on the Raiders, and I'm expecting to see Brock Bowers play. So I don't even understand the idea of picking up Mayer unless you have Brock Bowers and you were just pushing it to Monday to see what you're ending up playing between the two. So for right now, depending on what you have on roster, that'll kind of dictate which way you go about it. If you have Bowers, you pick up Mayer and you push towards Monday. If you don't have Brock Bowers, then you just pick up Hunter Henry and play him this morning. Thank you. David Dooley sends in a question. Says in a half PPR, do I start Tracy or Sampson in the flex? I would start Tracy there. Thank you. Nick Walker sends in a question. Says start Mayfield or Trevor Lawrence this week. I would prefer to play Trevor Lawrence. Thank you. It's okay to laugh. Sends in a question. Says trade Ibuka for Tyreek Hill. Okay, here's the thing. Tyreek Hill has a lot of inherent risk. Do I mind the trade? Absolutely not. But do I think that there's a lot of potential for disaster? Abso-freaking-lutely. And then besides the fact that Tyreek Hill, again, has some inconsistency of play between him and Tua, there's also some off-the-field issues that I'm not too keen on potentially trying to buy in on in case something happens where the league figures out some deal and then they suspend him. I don't know what the deal is right now, but I'm going to probably suggest if we're managers of Tyreek Hill, hopefully this week he's going to go off so that we can ship him off, because I don't know if I want to deal with him for the remainder of the year. Thank you. All right, let's go ahead and let's travel to the live chat real quick and see if I can find some of these questions that were sent in. Mason Davis and Patrick 510. My YouTube chat is about to crash, and I already know that's going to be the case. It already did, and that's interesting. So then I need to refresh this page, and hopefully, wow. Hopefully this thing does not crash my computer. Jeez Louise. Okay, here we go. Let's open this up. Let's go to the live chat and let's see where we're at here. Okay, so we need to find Mason Davis. All right, Mason, you just sent it. Oh, okay, that works. That works. I thought I just meant specifically go ahead and send in another message into the live stream chat, but that's all. It all works. Thank you, Mason. I appreciate that. Says good morning. In a 10-team PPR, Mark Andrews or Hunter Henry? In a PPR, I believe I have Hunter Henry ranked higher. Let me confirm. I do have Hunter Henry 3 spots ahead of Mark Andrews in a full PPR. I'd lean towards Hunter Henry there, Mason. Thank you. Patrick 510 says in a full PPR, flex one between Ricky Pearsall, Keenan Allen, Judy, and Tracy. Okay, it's between pretty much Ricky Pearsall and Tracy in this circumstance. Let me see where I have Tracy comparatively to Pearsall. I'm going to go with Ricky P there. That's my suggestion. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right, we caught up with those. Appreciate you guys sending those in. And we continue on. Okay, we had a question that came in from Nidge, who says, good morning. In a half PPR, pick 2 between Emeka Egbuka, Jalen Warren, Chubb, Jacoby Myers, and Pollard. Okay, Jacoby Myers has to play, and Pollard pretty much has to play. Now, I could end up playing, technically, Jalen Warren over Jacoby Myers, but let me see where I have him projected. Jacoby Myers is there. I have him ahead of Warren. Yeah, so at this point, I'm going to stick with that initial thought. Jacoby Myers and Tony Pollard. Those are my 2 highest ranked. Thank you. Emmanuel C says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR double flex league, my wide receivers are JSN, Sutton, Ridley, Pearsall, Shakir, and Rome. My running backs are CMC, Achane, Connor, and Kamara. Who do I start? In the double flex league, okay, so at running back, we know that we're starting clearing away Christian McCaffrey and HN as your 1-2. For your 2 wide receivers, easily JSN alongside of Sutton. So then at that point, when I look at the rest of the field, your next best players are Connor and Kamara. So I'm basically starting all 4 of your running backs, Emmanuel, and then starting JSN and Sutton alongside of them. Thank you. Alucard, 19, sends in a question. Says McCarthy or run with Dak/CD combo in a 6-point per passing touchdown league. Thanks. I'd feel really comfortable playing McCarthy there. I could justify the idea of playing Dak Prescott because, again, that New York Giants matchup I think is also advantageous. But in a 6-point per passing touchdown league, I'm still very comfortable with McCarthy against that Atlanta Falcons defense. Thank you. FRS sends in a question. Says PPR and 0.25 per passing completion. Okay. So we have Juwan Johnson versus Njoku. I would prefer to play Juwan Johnson there. As for your next question, Caleb or May? That's a really good question. Caleb or May in a 0.25 per completion. Okay, let me see what Drake May's completion numbers look like last week, just for context. He had 30 completions, and then I believe Caleb had a very similar-esque number. It was like 20, something like that. Caleb Williams had 21 completions. Sheesh. He threw the ball 46 times last week. That's the thing. I feel like they'll probably throw the ball a bunch this week too. I think both of them are probably readily implicated. Okay, let's say he throws the ball, completes an additional 10 passes. You get an extra 2.5 points, technically speaking. So it's not the greatest differential, but I think it is pretty substantial in this circumstance. Yeah, as of right now, FRS, I'd go with Juwan and May there. Thank you. Marcus Parker sends in a question. Says team is Josh Allen, Kenneth Walker, Etienne, Tracy Charbonnet. Wide receivers are CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Tet, Golden, Pearsall, Bowers, Juwan Johnson. I was offered Genty for Etienne and Tet. I don't know if I love that. I think that really, I don't think that's enough, to be honest, in return, because it definitely does negatively impact your wide receiver grouping, to which, again, like Golden's not even close to being startable, and it leaves you really, ransacked in terms of depth there. Had you had a little bit more wide receiver depth, I'd be okay with it. Had it been a 2-for-2 where you get Genty and then maybe an even lesser wide receiver like a Shakir, I'd feel even more comfortable regarding that. But as of right now, in terms of a straight 2-for-1, I'm not in love with the idea based on what your team is constructed as. Because the way that I see it, I think it hurts a little bit too much in terms of the wide receiver potential going forward. And it says, what should my lineup be? What moves should I be making to make this team better? In terms of making this team better, I think we got to figure out what to do specifically with running back. Because as it stands, I mean, I'm probably leaning towards playing Etienne Tracy this week above Charbonnet and Walker. Playing Garrett Wilson alongside of Tet. Obviously, you're playing, Josh Allen, Brock Bowers. But ultimately, within your flex position, I just go Pearsall there. So really, the best way to improve this team is kind of giving it a little bit of time and seeing what Charbonnet and Walker end up being and whether maybe they're both startable or neither, depending on a given week's matchup. I think that's just a matter of giving it time. And then if we can get the opportunity, Marcus, of Charbonnet or Walker going off, or potentially even both of them, try to ship them away so that you don't have to play the games every single week, of which they're obviously digging into each other's workload, as Walker will come in and the next drive it's completely Charbonnet, and then it's Walker for 2 straight drives, and then it's Charbonnet again. It reminds me a lot of what Detroit did with the combination of like David Montgomery and Gibbs last year, but the issue is they're not a top tier offense, so they're not getting enough, expectable points allocated to those 2 running backs because they're not really scoring touchdowns. If both of them were, they'd both be relevant, and of course we could blindly play them. Thank you. Cole R sends in a question. Says, good morning, Andrew. Start Mayfield, May, or Etienne in the Superflex full PPR. Wow. Yeah, I'm always going to be on the side of playing a quarterback in a Superflex league. So in this case, I'm still going to play them over Etienne, both of them. As to which of the 2 I prefer, I'm leaning towards playing Drake May in this circumstance. Thank you. Flawless sends in a question. Says, Ridley, Keenan Allen, or Samson? I'd prefer to play Keenan Allen there, Flawless. Thank you. Shooter McGavin sends in a question. Says, in a half PPR, 6 point for touchdowns. Okay. Who do I start between Andrews, Kincaid, Harold Fannin? In a half PPR, I would play Mark Andrews there. Second, which 2 should I start out of these 3? It says Dobbins, Keon Coleman, and Travis Hunter. Between those 3, half PPR, I would lean towards playing J.K. Dobbins, and then I believe I have, where's Keon Coleman comparatively to Travis Hunter? I have Keon Coleman ranked below him slightly, so it would be Dobbins and Travis Hunter that get the start there. Andrews, Dobbins, and Hunter. Thank you. JK sends in a question. Says, full PPR, flex T-Mac or Kamara? I'd rather play Kamara there. Thank you. The Solution sends in a question. Says, Jacoby Myers or DeAndre Swift in the flex, Andrew? Between the 2 of them, I would prefer to play Jacoby Myers there. Thank you. Like the Jeans sends in a question. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well, Jeans. Says PPR. Let's see here. I'm in a bit of a pickle. Okay. It says, not only do I have K9 and Charbonnet on my team, I also have Travis Hunter and Etienne on my team. They're all on bye week 8. How do I trade my way out of this? Okay, I think that's something that you'll probably, by the time we get to week 6, you can consider trading out of it. But if you want to trade out of it now, the only way I would ever trade out of these players is once they are off of a major week. You always want to sell high, never want to sell low on a player, because again, you're not going to get enough return unless you're expecting them to just go on low performances on a consecutive weekly basis. So in terms of getting out of it, I don't think anybody's taking K9 Charbonnet individually. unless there's someone in your league that is purely convinced that one is greater than the other, which I don't even think to be the case. I think they're probably just going to give equal opportunity share going forward unless an injury was to occur. So as of right now, you probably have to ship that off in a bundle. And then additionally, in regards to Travis Hunter, ETN, you're just waiting for another big performance and then you can ship it. As for ETN, he's coming off of one, could put together another great one, but at that point, I just want to continue to play him for my team's efforts. Thank you. All right, K Pereira sends in a question. Says, good morning. Glad to be back. Thank you. Appreciate it. Says, standard league, Jacoby Myers or Kayshon Boutte? I'd still go with Jacoby Myers in this circumstance. Thank you. Adam Amar sends in a question. Says, I got Jalen Hurts. Let's see. I have Jalen Hurts, Jaden Fields, Daniel Jones in a dynasty superflex. Okay. I mean, I think you're in a pretty good spot if you have all four of those quarterbacks. But as of right now, again, if you've already played Jaden, if you mean Justin Fields and not Jaden Fields, it's a misspelling, typing, whatever. If it's only 3 quarterbacks and not 4, I'm not even sure what the question is here, Adam. That's where I'm getting to the point where I'm confused about what even the question has turned into here. You've got Jalen Hurts, it says Jaden Fields, and Daniel Jones. Dynasty Superflex. Don't even know what that means. Am I picking who to start this week? Well, if Jaden's implicated, then Jaden's already played on Thursday. So if it's between Hurts, Fields, and Daniel Jones, I'm certainly going to play Hurts there. Thank you. Dejuan Golden sends in a question. Says, Fan and Strange Fant or wait for Bowers/Mayer? If you have Bowers/Mayer, then you lean in that direction because I would like to play Bowers this week. Thank you. Lou sends in a question. Says PPR start 1. Kincaid, Loveland, Strange, Hunter Henry. Okay. Out of that group, Hunter Henry number 1, Strange 2, Kincaid 3, Loveland 4. As for your second question, it says start 2 between JSN, Wilson, and Sutton. Jackson Smith and Jigba alongside of Garrett Wilson are my 2 plays there. Thank you, Lou. Appreciate it, my man. Prel sends in a question. Says, long time friend. Glad to see the channel growing. Thank you very much, Prel. Yeah, we're very close to 100K subscribers. Hopefully, we can, of course, accomplish that goal within this season. Again, long time no see. Hope you're doing well, Prel. Thank you. All right. Sin Like Flynn sends in a question. Says, Mike Evans or Hollywood Brown. Yeah, I would much rather play Hollywood Brown. Again, with anytime we have the opportunity of playing Hollywood Brown in the absence of Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice, it was proven last week what kind of potential value he obtains in the absence of those players. Dominating it and producing about 70% of his receptions and 80% of his receiving work from the slot position. He should be implicated for a bunch of targets over the course of this game. In comparison to Mike Evans, who, yes, is going to have a very difficult matchup against guys like Derek Stingley, Lassiter. Mike Evans is a Hall of Famer. He's a talented enough player to be able to still function at a great fantasy capacity, but Hollywood Brown is the easier play within the overall week. Thank you. Soul315 sends in a question. Says, think I should play safe with Tyler Warren over Bowers this week in a full PPR? Yes, I mean, justifiably, I think you could, I could be convinced to make that move to where I'm not waiting for Bowers. Because I have the alternative of another top 5 tight end, I'd feel relatively comfortable going in that direction rather than waiting for Bowers. But you got to think about it this way. Bowers participated and is expected to play. So I'm not overly concerned about it, but if this is going to make it a little bit more difficult for your team to function out because you're thinking to yourself, all right, well, considering Bowers doesn't have an out designation now and I can't put him on my IR, I would have to wait until tomorrow to pick up Mayer. And by that point, somebody could probably screw me over by picking up Mayer and put me in a pretty bad position, or I could just get to a point where I have no one to drop in general and I have to wait for that Bowers IR to kind of be clicked in. All things considered, with Warren being readily available to you, I'm okay going in that direction this week. But if you have the opportunity to drop a player that's not really much so a contributor to your team and pick up Mayer and try to push for Bowers, I mean, again, I'm expecting Bowers to play. That's why I have him ranked. And I think he would be the better play of the two. But if you wanted to play it safe, I don't have an issue with it because, again, you're filtering one top 5 tight end for another and just hoping for the best. Thank you. Roman Martinez says in a full PPR, pick 2, Javonte Williams, Omarion Hampton, and Ted McMillan. Okay, let's see where we have Ted McMillan in comparison to the bunch. Okay, so Teteroa McMillan, I would play behind Javonte and Omarion Hampton. So I play both the running backs over him this week in a full PPR. Thank you. Aaron Van Dyke sends in a question. Thank you very much, Aaron. I appreciate it. Aaron says the following. Says in a full PPR with 2 flex spots, I need to start 2 and sit 2 between Hollywood Brown, Keon Coleman, Rome Odunze, and DeAndre Swift. Okay. Let me see where I have Odunze in comparison to Swift, and that'll pretty much dictate who the second flex is between the bunch. All right, where is... Okay, there's Swift. Okay, so I will give you the context. First and foremost, I think Hollywood Brown is a blind start. Now, between the available other three, Keon Coleman, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, I think if we're going to see the Buffalo Bills in an advantageous kind of position for majority of the game with a maintained lead in which they're continuing to put up points and they're not trying to claw back from a huge deficit, I don't think Keon Coleman gets to 11 targets, So in this circumstance, I think it's between Rome Odunze and Swift. Right now, full PPR, I have Swift 2 spots ahead of Rome Odunze. 55 compared to 57. They're both in the same tier. If you prefer one over the other, you could play Rome over Swift. It wouldn't bother me at all. But as of right now, I'm suggesting Hollywood Brown and Swift. Thank you. Jared Smith sends in a question. Says, pick 2 in a full PPR. McConkey, Hollywood Brown, and DK Metcalf. Full PPR, McConkey, and Hollywood are my 2 starters. DK sits on the bench. Thank you, Jared. A real DYL sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, Juwan Johnson, Strange, or Fannin? I would play Juwan Johnson this week. Thank you. Says I have the 49ers defense. Yeah, I mean, at this point, the 49ers defense is only there for the sacks and the interceptions that they're going to be able to gather potentially from Rattler. I don't think this is like you being in a tough position because ultimately I think the value that they're providing is individually not going to cross over and be much of a conflict, at least in my mind. I'm just looking for most points potentially there, and I think both of those would be the right play. Thank you. Caleb Austin sends in a question. Says, I've got 2 spots to fill between Javonte Williams, Omarion Hampton, Keon Coleman, Waddle, Jameson Williams. Who do I start? Yeah, I'm leaning towards both those running backs regardless of scoring format. Give me Javonte and give me Omarion Hampton. Thank you, Caleb. Appreciate it, my man. All right. Real Z Gaming sends in a question. Or Reez. I don't know. Reez Gaming sends in a question. Says, Devontae Adams, Egbuka, Jacoby Myers, full PPR. Of those 3 available, I'm playing Jacoby Myers ahead of the bunch there. Says, then for running back, Kenneth Walker or Tyrone Tracy. In a full PPR, I believe I have Tyrone Tracy ahead of, yes, I have him ahead of Kenneth Walker, 24 compared to number 27. So I lean in the direction of playing Tyrone Tracy and Jacoby Myers there. Thank you. Oskino sends in a question. Says, Fergie, a safe play if I'm already starting CD and Williams. So basically you're asking if we can start 3 Cowboys this week, to which I would tell you, it's incredibly risky because, again, if that game goes out of hand and gets into a position in which the Cowboys aren't, the best offensive performers this week, they're going to drown your overall kind of upside potential. The thing is about starting 3 players within the same singular offense is that you can only score 1 touchdown per drive. And they potentially could all score within a given game because there's probably somewhere between, depending on how this game goes and how often they force the New York Giants to punt, they could probably end up with either 7 to 9 potential drives ahead of them. Are they going to score on every single one? Unlikely. 8Ball says unlikely as of this point, but I don't mind the idea of playing Ferguson. If that's your best tight end, go with it. I mean, I'm not going to tell you to go drop him just because we're avoiding playing all these Cowboys. I think 3 is the most that I'd ever play within a given week. I've said that before. So for now, stick with it. If you had the opportunity of swapping to somebody else like Juwan Johnson, I would take that opportunity. Thank you. El Memo 26 sends in a question. Says, 1 for the flex. We have Breece Hall, Etienne, McMillan, Egbuka, full PPR. As it currently stands, I believe I have Breece Hall ranked the highest. And yes, he is ranked the highest out of the group. And that's the direction that I would lead you in. Thank you. Let's hear Rendell Sanchez sends in a question. Says, in the flex, Trey Benson or Quentin Johnston, PPR. I'd rather play Quentin Johnston. Thank you. The professor sends in a question. Says, full PPR, Mark Andrews or Fannin Jr. this week. Full PPR, Mark Andrews, number 9, Fannin 13. Again, I'm still of the opinion that I want to wait on Fannin. If you wanted to play him, I don't have an issue with it. Again, the tight end position is purely just a matter of who's going to find the end zone. And in the matters of which we do not find the end zone, we certainly need a high target share. So I could justify the idea of leaning towards Fannin there if we're assuming Mark Andrews does not find himself scoring a touchdown this week. But of all the players that are highly implicated for touchdown scoring, Mark Andrews is one of them. So for now, I'd lean towards still playing Andrews there. But if you wanted to play Fannin, I don't have an issue with it. Thank you. Nick Kirkwood, excuse me, says in a question, says ETN, Javonte, Alvin Kamara, Sutton, full PPR, pick 2. Alvin Kamara for sure plays. He's going to play alongside of Cortland Sutton there. Those are my 2 highest ranked of the group. So I'd go with Sutton and Kamara. Thank you. Chronofied sends in a question, says start 1. Lions, Cowboys, Colts, or Saints defense. Not interested in the Saints too much there. That's an interesting, and neither am I, too interested in playing the Colts either. But between the Cowboys and the Lions, again, the Cowboys as of the screen, once the defensive rankings show up, are my number 7 defense, and I have the Lions as my number 11. So I would suggest playing the Cowboys and or Lions defense as of today. Thank you. JL sends in a question. Says I traded James Cook and George Pickens for JSN and Jacoby Myers. Okay. Says I have Caleb Williams, Malik Neighbors, Kamara, Bucky, Calvin Austin. Calvin? I'm assuming he's Austin. Henry, Bill, okay. Dak, Love, Chubb, and Dobbins. Good or bad trade? I mean, in terms of what you're getting in return, I think it's a solid trade. I think both sides should be happy with it. And considering, again, you have Kamara, Bucky, and Bill, and honestly, Chubb and Dobbins, you're fine at running back depth to be able to make a trade of this caliber. I think as of right now, if it's a full PPR league, JSN and James Cook, again, both very highly valued players, and being able to swap out George Pickens for Jacoby Myers, whether you want to see it in an equal manner or in the favor in which I do prefer Jacoby going forward, I think that's a win on your end. Being able to improve that wide receiver position going forward here. I don't think you need to hold 3 quarterbacks on roster, but maybe we can adjust that going forward. Thanks. Jason Sommer sends in a question. Says in a 1.5 point per tight end premium, okay, point per reception tight end premium league, start 4 between Jacoby Myers, Hollywood Brown, Keon Coleman, Travis Kelce, Njoku, Hampton, and Swift. Okay. This makes it very difficult because in a full PPR, I'm playing Myers and Hollywood without a doubt. And then I probably end up playing Kelce and Hampton. Do I want to play No, I don't want to play Njoku here. Myers, Hollywood, Kelce, Hampton. That's the way I go about it, Jason Sommers. Appreciate it. Lincoln sends in a question. Says, start 1 in the flex, half PPR, Kamara or Hollywood Brown? That's a great question. As of right now, in a half PPR, I currently have Alvin Kamara ranked higher. That's the direction I go in a half PPR. Had it been a full, it would be the opposite. Thank you. King sends in a question. Says, in a half PPR, start 2 between Sutton, ETN, and Evans. I would go with Sutton and ETN there. Thank you, King. Appreciate it. Having Slim sends in a question. Says, would you trade away Burrow and St. Brown for Josh Allen and Zay Flowers? That's a really tough question. In terms of value in return, I think I'd still rather stick with St. Brown. Again, I'm not going to think that the 1 week performance of the Detroit Lions, where, again, we got to understand the Green Bay Packers are a legitimate team. They took out 2 of the best NFC teams thus far. So I'm not going to hold that performance in just entirely against them. I still think there's a lot of value in all of the Detroit Lions pieces, to where I still believe St. Brown has top 3 wide receiver upside like he's demonstrated in each of the last 2 years. So I'm not out on it yet. I'd stick with what you have with the St. Brown Burrow side. If you wanted to make the trade, you could, but I think Burrow's going to be better in due time because he always is a slow starter, as the Bengals have demonstrated over the course of the last 5 years. In the 10 games that they've started week 1 and 2, they were like 1-9 record prior to this year. So I think they'll be better going forward. I'd stick with the Burrow St. Brown side. Thank you. Akuma 187 says, good morning, Andrew. Questions in the chat. All right, Akuma. Let me see if I can find your question. Let's see here. And then we'll come back to Reese 2010. Thank you. All right, Akuma, let's see what you have here, brother. Akuma, you're going to have to retype in your question. Again, guys, if you guys are going to send in a question via super, do me a favor and include that within your specific super chat that you send in. That way, I don't have to go looking for it in the future. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Again, for those of you, what the heck is that? Someone in the chat asked, Madden packs or car payments? That might be the funniest question I have seen. That is a good one. Actually, that's actually a good one. Listen, if you are actively listen, as someone who used to play a good amount of MUT, when I say a good amount, like back in 2015, 16, around that time, okay, when MUT was actually good, um, even then it wasn't worth it. So I don't understand anybody who's buying packs. I don't get it. I've never been one to buy them. I think you could build a pretty good budget team just off of just playing. Akuma187 says in a 10-team PPR, wide receivers are Nico, Ladd, Ricky, Tedero, McMillan, Pittman. Should I drop Golden for Joe Mixon? Interesting question. Any Mixon news? I've heard nothing. The last thing I heard about Joe Mixon was the GM of the team saying we don't even know if he's going to play this year. Mixon's only a pickup to put on your IR. That's it. If you have an open IR spot, just throw him into the IR spot and then pick Golden back up. And that's how we can proceed. But as of right now, I'm not over the moon about the potential of Mixon because I don't think there's been no signs of life from the overall situation. So it's not really where I'm like, oh, maybe we need to pick him up and just prepare because I haven't heard anything. And that's very telling just by the organization not really having any positive news regarding his status. Reese 2010 sends in a question, says full PPR, 4-point per passing touchdown, Fields or Mahomes? I'd rather play Fields. Says flex Ridley, ETN or Igbuka? Give me ETN there. Thank you, Reese. Appreciate it, my man. Marco Jacinto says in a PPR, pick 2 between Evans, Igbuka, or Evans and T-Mac. Yeah, I'd rather play Evans and T-Mac there. Thank you. Appreciate it. Riley Fiegel sends in a question, says in a full PPR, where do you stand on Penix and why? Yeah, as of right now, Michael Penix going into this morning, or specifically into today's games, is my number. He's my number 20 quarterback. Look, here's the thing about Michael Penix. I think he's a solid QB. He's just going to have to continue to prove his value in my mind. Like taking on Tampa Bay's defense is a cakewalk. Like I even have Stroud relatively high ranked this week. I have Stroud as my number 17. He's just one off of the board of the top 16 that would be ranked on screen. I mean, I even thought about even playing Stroud ahead of Jared Goff in his circumstance. I think the last week's matchup specifically is a pretty good one. Now, as for, Penix getting back, Darnell Mooney, very positive. But in due time, if he can continue to stack great performances, then I'll be convinced. And at that point, I'll be fine with it. But as of right now, taking on Minnesota in Minnesota, I'm not the most keen on starting him within this given week. Thank you. Bake sends in a question, says Dobbins or Keenan Allen full PPR. Let me see where I have Allen comparatively. I believe this is a Keenan Allen play. Yes, this is a Keenan Allen play. Outright. Thank you. Jax sends in a question. Says, hey, Andrew, love the work. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Says, I'm in an 8-man full PPR league. Need to figure out the wide receiver 2 in flex out of Hampton, Evans, Coleman, Igbuka, and McMillan. Okay. Hampton has to start as the flex. I think he is the best option in this circumstance. Now, as for your alternative play in terms of McMillan or Evans, I could justify playing one or the other. I mean, again, as of right now, I have Evans as my number 21 in a full PPR comparatively to Tedero and McMillan, who sits as my number 23. They're both in the tier 6 of the wide receiver position, so I could justify playing one over the other. But as of this moment, I'd probably go Evans. Splitting Evans and Igbuka is always difficult because, again, you don't want to play the wrong one technically. Like last week could have taken place where you played Evans and you left Igbuka on the bench. But this is what happens when you play in an 8-man league, right? You unfortunately have to make incredibly difficult decisions because you have just too many good players. But as of right now, Evans and Hampton are the two that I would prefer. Thank you. Sean Bond sends in a question, says, is Caleb Johnson droppable? I don't know if he's technically droppable just yet. Again, he's going to require an injury to probably get him some value in the future. So is he someone that I'm willing to hold on to for a couple more weeks? Sure. But in the event in which, again, you are coming up on upcoming bye weeks here, are dealing with a lot of injuries and don't have an available IR spot, all that kind of jazz, sure. I would say eventually, once push comes to shove, we're able to drop him because if he doesn't show any signs of life in the near future, he is pretty much an afterthought. And then your follow-up question was, do you like Fields or Burrow rest of season? I prefer Burrow rest of season. I think he's going to, again, he'll finish as a top 5 quarterback easily. It's just early on in the year, Burrow is incredibly slow to start and really get going. So Burrow's still the guy. Thank you. Jacob Harris sends in a question. Says in a full PPR flex, Hampton, Devontae Smith, or Pickens? As of right now, is it a full PPR? Yeah. In a full PPR, I am playing Devontae Smith out of those 3 available options. Thank you. Okta sends in a question, says, is Travion Henderson over Genti too sweaty? I would say yes, but look, here's the thing. Unless you have some sort of intel, maybe your cousin's best friend's brother who steps something to Josh McDaniels has told you that Travion Henderson's going to be able to play a bunch of snaps this week. At that point, sure, right? Unless you have some sort of insider information as to Henderson's workload opportunity share, he's coming off of a week in which he had technically 7 rushing attempts, 2 were called back due to holding penalties, and then he had himself 6 receptions. So 13 touches there in week 1, we can build upon that. But in comparison to Genti, who's pretty much guaranteed for anywhere between 18 to 23 touches, I think there's a lot of implied risk, and I would say, yes, it is too sweaty. But if you've got some insider tracked information that you want to share with us, please be our guest. Michael York sends in a question, says, Dobbins or Pickens in the flex? The thing is, okay, look, I'd feel more comfortable playing Dobbins. That's the way that I'm going to approach this. Pickens, again, requires one singular play to be fantasy relevant, but again, there's just so much inherent risk involved with that to where I need that singular play to be a touchdown play. Or I need a lot of opportunities in terms of targets in his direction, which I don't know if that's going to be the case for his role within this offense. So I'm going to lean towards Dobbins as I have him ranked 4 spots ahead of Pickens this week in a PPR. Thank you. Smell My Finger sends in a question. Says, full PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex between Pickens, Jacoby, Judy, and T-Mac. Of those 4 available, Smell My Fingers, I'm going Jacoby Myers and Tedero McMillan. Thank you. Dejuan Golden sends in a follow-up. Says, can you explain Kamara over ETN? I love the ETN matchup. Yeah, look, ETN's matchup is solid. But here's my overall issue comparatively. I think that now that we have Mac Jones playing for Mac Jones playing for the San Francisco 49ers, that matchup doesn't become as one-sided as it theoretically could have been. So it implies a little bit more rushing upside for Kamara that, in my mind, with a greater workload share in terms of rushing opportunity, again, I think his receiving opportunities are going to grow in comparison to where they were last week. So I think overall he'll get more looks in terms of total touches. That in itself, in my mind, is really valuable. Again, when we're looking for trying to project out points, a lot of it is just opportunity share. The more touches you get, the higher upside or potential you have to scoring more points. That's the singular way in which you score points, is with opportunity. So in the case of that between Kamara and ETN, that's where I lean towards. Now, if you were to tell me ETN's going to run for 8 yards per carry again, and this is going to be a matchup in which it's, everybody's scoring, then sure, that's probably the play. But I'm not convinced that idea. So as of right now, in terms of the 2, like in a half PPR, I've got Kamara as my number 16 left, and Travis Etienne as my number 18. Close, but not too close to where I'm telling you, yeah, you can flip the coin. I think I'm still sticking with Kamara in there. I think it's going to be a closer matchup against the 49ers. Jack Peltier sends in a question, says, in a non-PPR, Brian Thomas or Jackson Smith? In a non-PPR, that makes it a little bit trickier. I think I'm still sticking with Jackson Smith and Jigba there. Follow-up question, Lad or JSN? You go with JSN as well there. Thank you. Josie sends in a question, says, full PPR, Olave or Swift? I would go with Olave there in a full PPR. Thank you. Yeah, as of right now, where do I have them ranked accordingly to one another? Yeah, Olave is ahead of Swift in a full PPR. Thank you. Charles sends in a question, says, in a full PPR, pick one in the wide receiver and flex. Says wide receiver, flex, RB. Okay, so I'm confused at the question. If I'm just picking one between Sutton, Chuba Hubbard, Jacoby Myers, and Williams, which I'm assuming Williams is Javonte. If I'm picking one of the group, in a full PPR, I'm playing Chuba Hubbard this week. Chuba Hubbard would be number 1, and then Sutton would be 2, Myers would be 3, and Javonte would be 4. Thank you, Charles. Jared Smith says, drop Lions for Rams defense full PPR. Yeah, I mean, I would. Ultimately, I would. I mean, let's just think about it this way. If we look at the upcoming schedule for the Lions, like, the question then becomes, like, can we play them in future weeks? To which next week, the Baltimore Ravens take on the Lions. So you're not going to even start the Lions in that circumstance. You could pick them back up against the Browns in week 4, but then they have the Bengals in week 5, the Chiefs in week 6, the Buccaneers in week 7, the Vikings in week 8, the Washington Commanders in week 9, the Eagles in week 10. I don't know if the Lions defense is the play this season because the upcoming matchups are not easy. So I would lean towards the Rams. Let me look at the Rams schedule here. Obviously, besides having an advantageous matchup today, you can't play the Rams defense either next week because they play against the Eagles. So at this point, really, it's just a matter of who are we playing this week, and I do prefer taking on Cam Ward and the rookie quarterback. One of his starting offensive tackles is out. The pass rush is going to get after him. I think that's the better play. Thank you. Big Verge sends in a question, says full PPR. I need a tight end between Henry, Strange, Ferguson, and Ingram. Yeah, as of that available group, I'm going to lean towards playing Hunter Henry, then Ferguson, then Strange, then Ingram. So Henry is my suggestion. Thank you. Ron Scoff sends in a question, says in a full PPR, flex who? Harvey, Henderson, Charbonnet, Hill, Igbuka, or Pickens. Of the available, Tyreek Hill's my suggestion. Thank you. Andrew Mitchell says, yo, Andrew, Fannin or Kincaid? I'd play Fannin there in that circumstance. Thank you. Jose sends in a question, says 2 wide receivers, 2 flex in a full PPR, Hollywood, Rome, Marv, Olave, Chubb, Kenneth Walker, Keon Coleman, Keenan Allen. Okay. If we're playing 4 players, 2 wide receivers and 2 flex, out of those available, it says I'm having trouble deciding between running backs and wide receivers. Also, Caleb or Trevor. Okay. Let's answer the quarterback question first because that one's the easier one. I'm leaning towards playing Caleb Williams there. Negative game script, a lot of rushing opportunity, and a lot of throwing the ball in the second half. These are all positives for Caleb. Now, when we're talking about the potential of these wide receivers, Hollywood Brown has to start. I think of the available, I think Marvin Harrison also has to start. Actually, in fact, I'm looking at the group here, and I'm playing all wide receivers. I think I'm probably setting myself for success. Yeah, I'm going to set myself up for success with Hollywood, Marvin Harrison, Olave, Keenan Allen. That's the way I go about it. Full PPR. Start all 4 wide receivers. Thank you. JNA Gaming sends in a question. Says, I'm in a full PPR league. 1 flex. Please help. LOL. Genty, Achan, Kyron. Oh my gosh. Devontae Adams, Devontae Smith, J Jet, Travis Hunter, Caleb, Bo, and JJ. Okay. All right. Hold up here. I'm in a 1 flex league. So if we're setting the lineup as such, okay, Bo Nix is my highest ranked quarterback. So we go Bo number 1, Caleb 2, JJ McCarthy 3. So Bo's my starter there as my quarterback this week. You're starting Genty, Achan, and Kyron as your 1, 2, 3. Playing Justin Jefferson and Devontae Smith as your wide receivers, and that's it. So again, I'm playing Genty, Achan as my starting running backs, Kyron in the flex, Justin Jefferson alongside of Devontae Smith, Bo, and whoever you have at tight end. Fire it up. Thank you, JNA. All right. Let's see here. JS Tempka 1221 says Javonte Williams, Hollywood Brown, Judy as my last flex. Let me see where I have Javonte in comparison to Hollywood Brown in a half PPR, and I'll let you know right now. Okay, so if we're playing in a half PPR or standard league, I'd play Javonte. In the event in which this is a full PPR format, Tempka, I'm going to play Hollywood Brown there. Thank you. Cam and Mel sent in a question. Nothing attached to it. Cam, if you could do me a favor, retype in that question. That'd be greatly appreciated. Just type it in the chat when you get an opportunity. At that point, I'll be able to help you out. Thank you. Mean the Bush sends in a question. Mean, hope you're doing well, my man. Says 2 leagues, both full PPR. Hunter Henry, Josh Downs, Rashid Shaheed, or RJ Harvey. That's a great question. Let me see where I have. It's basically either Shaheed or Henry in my mind. So let me go to my full PPR rankings here and let me. Henry. Okay, so Hunter Henry sits there. Where do I have Rashid Shaheed? Rashid Shaheed slightly below. I could justify playing Rashid Shaheed there, but I'm going to stick with Hunter Henry taking on Miami's defense that couldn't stop Tyler Warren last week. So Henry is my suggestion out of the group. Follow-up says also Dylan Sampson, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Juju Smith-Schuster. That's a really good question too. If Wan'Dale Robinson's playing this week, it probably doesn't look like a terrible option. As of right now, is it Dylan Sampson? Dylan Sampson is my suggestion there out of those 3. It would go Sampson 1, Wan'Dale 2, and Schuster 3. As for the prior question, Mean the Bush, it would go Henry 1, Shaheed 2, Harvey 3, Downs 4. Thank you. Alex Songrass sends in a question. Alex, thank you very much. Hope you're doing well, my man. Alex says the following. Says, in a standard league, do I play Henry or Fannin at tight end? I'd prefer to play Henry in a 0 point per reception circumstance. More touchdown upside, more potential there. Standard, at the flex, K9, Mason, DJ Moore, Myers, or Tetero McMillan. Oof, wow, okay. Standard league, are we playing one of those running backs or one of those receivers? As of right now, I probably end up just playing Jacoby there. It's either Jacoby or Tet, and I think I'm going to prefer to play Jacoby. Alex. As for your final question, says Henderson or Ridley in a full PPR, I'd rather play Henderson. And then in a 6-point per passing touchdown league, Fields or Dak, I'd still play Fields. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Mill Ticket 00 sends out a question. Says full PPR, Herbert or Pat at quarterback? Okay, I would prefer to play Justin Herbert. Again, he's slightly ahead of Mahomes on screen, but not significantly ahead, like right here. Justin Herbert 6, Mahomes at number 8. I'm still leaning towards Herbert there. As for your next question, Zay Flowers or Emeka Egbuka, I'd suggest playing Flowers there. Thank you again. For those of you who are joining us this morning, good morning. Welcome to week 2 of the 2025 fantasy football season. Over the course of today's live stream, again, you will see these rankings filter. These rankings on screen are updated as of this morning for all available positions. So if you guys are wondering within an interpositional conversation, who do you start at kicker within the top 12 of my rankings, they are presented on screen to help you set your lineups over the course of this morning. So again, you can look towards those to specifically answer your question, but again, a reminder, the rankings on screen are for a half PPR. If you guys want all-encompassing rankings for half, full PPR, all positions, you can check out the Patreon like it is presented here. Of course, in the future, you can, of course, check out the Betr sign-up bonus that you get when using code Andrew, making that first-time deposit, and, of course, making that first-time play. So if you guys are interested, all that information down below. Otherwise, of course, continuing to answer questions in the live chat. Thank you. Miracle Robinson sends in a question, says Hill or Sutton in a half PPR? That's an interesting one. Let's see where I have Hill comparatively. I believe on screen, Tyreek Hill sits as my number 16 and Cortland Sutton is my number 17. Yeah. As of right now, I got to play Tyreek Hill today. I have to. I think this is as good of an opportunity as it gets for him to have a bounce back performance with no Christian Gonzalez lining up against him and this offense needing a victory. They have to win. I think Miami actually does win this game. And I think it's off the back of Hill and H.A. Thank you. Old J Running sends in a question. Thank you, Old J. Appreciate it. Says rest of season PPR. Pick 2 between Pacheco, Harvey, and Braylon Allen. Rest of season. Okay, if I'm picking 2 in the rest of season conversation, it's Harvey and Pacheco. Thank you. Manil Patel sends in a question. Thank you, Manil. Says PPR, Tracy, Sampson, or Mason. In a PPR, Tyrone Tracy is my suggestion there. I appreciate it. Okay, Cam and Mel. Hopefully you went ahead and typed in the live chat. And I can get to that right now. Cam and Mel. Cam, don't see anything in the live chat from you. So if you can go ahead and do that once again, we greatly appreciate it. All right. Kevin G says, is it considered rude to ask multiple questions in one super chat? No, listen, I'm trying to help as much as I can. If you ask multiple questions, so be it. I'm glad to help. It doesn't take too long to answer questions anyway. So like, I'm trying my best to just, give as much advice as possible. So no, I don't have an issue with that at all. That's nothing that's a big deal. Again, like I'm trying to give away rankings, right? I'm in the best manner in which I can with the filtered screen. So it's not like I'm like gatekeeping anything outside of flex. That's basically the primary gate kept kind of situation there. All right, continuing on. Let's see what we have here in terms of after Manel, we have Chris. Chris sends in a question, says Hunter Henry or Brenton Strange. I'm playing Hunter Henry this week. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate it, my man. All right. Sir Vancelot sends in a question, says deeper super flex PPR. I have Bowers. Any issue with dropping Goddard to pick up Mayer for Monday Night Football and going forward? No problem with that. Also, Fields or Herbert rest of the season. I think there can be I'm still sticking with Fields there. I prefer Fields over Herbert rest of the season. If you can have them both on roster, keep them both. But in the event in which you are looking to continue to play Bowers this week, I would suggest, yes, dropping Goddard in the event in which you do not have an IR spot available to you. With no IR spot, he's off the team. Pick up Mayer for Monday night. Thank you. Jeff Whitfield says, Njoku, Fannin, or Pitts PPR? I'm still going to stick with Njoku there. Njoku 1, Fannin 2, Pitts 3. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Flotation says, can you check Twitter? Yeah, let me check that out right now. All right, let's see here, Flotation. What do you have here in terms of your team this week? All right, 16 minutes ago, you said, is there a question attached to this? It says, let's get the dub this week. Thoughts on my matchup? Anything I would change? Okay. I mean, the matchup I'm not too worried, specifically worried about. I'm just looking at how's your team set up. You have Josh Allen, Jahmyr Gibbs, Aaron Jones, Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley, Hunter Henry, Tyrone Tracy. Okay, looking at the team, yeah, you've got the best team in. I'm not making any moves here. I'm not making any slight adjustments. Just keep it as is. And man, getting hit with the injury of Eckler already kind of hurts, but I think, of course, you got the right team in place to succeed. You just got to hope that, again, you can hit the waiver wire in the coming weeks here and potentially continue to gain value there. Thank you. All right. Hee ho ho sends in a question. Says Nick Chubb, Khalil Shakir, or Cedric Tillman in a half PPR. It's a really good question. I think it's Nick Chubb, considering the half PPR format. Oh, wow. That's hilarious. Okay. So I've got Khalil Shakir 74, Nick Chubb 75 in my half PPR flex. I'll take Khalil Shakir there. Based on where I have him ranked, he's one spot ahead of him. Can I justify playing Nick Chubb instead of him? Absolutely. But Khalil Shakir, one spot ahead projected. Again, when I say one spot ahead projected, the difference between their projections is 0.2 points. Okay? So just putting it into perspective, there's literally just play any of the two that you want. Whether it's Nick Chubb or Khalil Shakir, you pick. As of right now, I've got Shakir ranked higher. Thank you. Bruin Backhand, what's up, my man? Long time no see, Bruin. Hope you're doing well. Says AK, PPR Sutton or Hampton. I would prefer to play Sutton there. Drop Ingram for Juwan. Yeah, I would play Juwan Johnson, or I would just have him on roster. I prefer to that, actually. Thank you. Christopher Lloyd sends in a question. Says Hawkinson versus the Falcons or Fannin versus the Raiders. Yeah, look, I'm going to give Hawkinson another run at it. I want to wait and see what Fannin is capable of doing for another consecutive game here. Again, if you have Fannin on roster, it's not like you're losing out on value for the future. Like, you're still going to have the investment in place. I just want to make sure, even though I don't think he is, I just want to make sure he's not Isaiah Likely, and we're going to pick him up, play him, and he's going to burn us to an absolute crisp this week. But again, if you're not 100%, like kind of convinced on the potential of Hawkinson, you don't want to play it, that's fine. You can play Fannin Jr. He's still going to be relevant, just not at the capacity which he was potentially last week, where he's catching quite literally every single ball in the offense. El Momo 26 says, crazy to drop Keon Coleman for Hollywood and start him instead of Breece Hall. I have Rashee Rice for later on. It depends on what kind of a league you're playing in. If you're playing in a league in which, again, maybe you have like 8 teams, 10 teams, and there's a lot of value left on the waiver wire, and you're just looking to try to start the best team every single week, I would say okay. But if you're playing in a completely deeper league, like 12 teams, and somehow, someway Hollywood's still available there, I doubt that would be the case. So I think it's probably a smaller league, to which I'd say okay. In a full PPR, pick him up, play him. But in terms of long-term value, Keon Coleman's the guy that I would like to have on roster from now until the rest of the season based on what he was able to contribute in week 1. So I don't love the idea in the long term, but considering you're probably playing in a league with less teams, which means that there's going to be a lot of relevant value on waivers, I'm okay with it just to improve the team and hopefully capture a victory here in week 2. Nick L sends in a question, says full PPR, flex, Kamara, Sutton, Devontae Smith, Etienne, or Devontae Adams. Out of the entire group, Kamara is my highest ranked. Thank you. Dave sends in a question, says in a 10-team half PPR, we have Allen, BTJ, Waddle, DJ, Gibbs, K9, Warren, Samson, Worthy, Rice, Judkins, Benson, Golden. Only 1 week, but not excited about Waddle, DJ, K9, etc. Who to trade for? Okay, so again, it's only been a week, and you said it yourself, right? Give it some time. Let's see how these situations kind of pan out. In due time, in the event in which you do not find much value from these players, then it's probably putting yourself in a position to where you're waiting for a hot week and you're shipping them off. Who are we trading for? We're trading for a player that this week does not have himself a great performance and stacks up 2 bad performances to start the year. So basically, you're hoping for someone like Omarion Hampton to have a bad week here, or Ashton Genty to have a bad week here, so that you can trade for them next week. You're hoping that T. Higgins doesn't play well, or something of that exchange, to where you can then invest in him next week. That's what we're looking for. And then, of course, you need to, get your players to have themselves a solid week here, so that they're a little bit more enticing for those trade, capacities. So for right now, again, there's not really a trade to make immediately. It's just a matter of we're looking forward to the potential of buying low on some candidates. Like if McMillan doesn't put together the greatest performance here, even better for you, go after him. Thank you. And then also it says, asked the other day, Gibbs/DJ for Neighbors and Kyron. Let me see here. You have Waddle, DJ, Gibbs. Let me look at Where's my mouse cursor? There it is. Jeez Louise. I was like, what the heck's going on here? All right. So when I look at the potential of what you have, yeah, I don't think it's a necessary trade. You could if you'd like to. Don't see it as like a have to make this trade. Thank you. All right, continuing on. We had Ahmad, who says in a question, says, good morning, Drew. PPR, Hill, Hollywood, London, Nico. I mean, am I giving you the order at which I would start them? As it currently stands, in a full PPR, it goes Nico number 1, London number 2. Then it follows with Hollywood 3, Tyreek Hill 4. Thank you. Let's see here. Shruly W says, flex spot. We have half PPR Pearsall or Mason. I take Pearsall there. Thank you. Hakeem sends in a question. Says Myers, Adams, Pearsall, Hill, Ridley, Jennings, or Coleman. Half PPR pick 3. Of those available, we're going with Hill, Myers, Adams. Thank you. Anthony O says full PPR Aaron Jones or Zach Charbonnet. I prefer Aaron Jones because of the receiving workload. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Marcel sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. Says full PPR. I lost Kittle. I have Strange and Juwan Johnson on the bench. Second question. Okay, so first and foremost, let's play Juwan Johnson this week. Next question says for the flex, I have Mooney, Pickens, and Henderson. I play Henderson there. Thank you. Jose sends in a follow-up. Says I spent $10 on the question, didn't get answered. No, I thought I answered it. $5 on the question. I'm almost positive I did. Perhaps you got an ad? Yeah, so you had asked earlier about the 2 wide receivers, 2 flex, to which I specifically, and of course Caleb. So I told you to play Caleb over Trevor, and then I told you to play 4 wide receivers. I said Hollywood, Marv, Keenan, and Olave. Those are the 4. Thank you. Yeah, you probably just missed it. No problem. I'm more than happy to go back and answer those because it's just a quick, easy one. Thank you, Jose. DW sends in a question, says Sharp or Pickens in the flex, full PPR. It's Dyer. Thanks. Sharp or Pickens in a full PPR. Let's see. Pickens. As of right now, I have Charbonnet 2 spots ahead of Pickens in a full PPR. I'll take Charbonnet there. Thank you. We had Vlad 714 who says, what's up, brother? Brock, Stafford, McCarthy. What 2 would you keep? I would keep McCarthy and Brock. Thank you. Spencer Goldberg sends in a question. Says, hello. Full PPR. Pick 2. Pollard, Jacoby Myers, Jamison Williams, and Emeka Egbuka. Let me see where I have Pollard in comparison to Egbuka, and that'll pretty much dictate where I go with this. As of right now, I have Pollard ranked higher, so I'm going to go Pollard and Jacoby Myers as my 2 suggestions there, Spencer. Now, in the event in which Emeka Egbuka plays exclusively slot receiving option snaps today and gets himself a pretty good target share within the slot against Petrie, I could see him being incredibly successful. But he, again, with Sterling Shepard still out there and Emeka Egbuka playing a lot on the outside, or at least not being targeted very much within the slot position, we're going to need to see that offense on Monday night really target him and focus him within that in that slot position, which I don't know, again, if they're going to be able to do at a high capacity. So for right now, again, I do like what Myers is up to potentially against that Chargers defense. Last time out against them, went for over 100 yards and a tutty. So I'm liking Myers with the upgraded quarterback. Pollard, again, is still an always solid play. If you're not convinced about the potential of that Titans offense, the third best option is Egbuka if you just want to cash in on potential, upside that he presented in week 1 and just, follow the hot hand. Otherwise, Pollard and Myers are my highest ranked. Thank you. Frank Grillo says Burrow or Murray. I prefer to play Burrow. Thank you, Frank. Hope you're doing well. Redify says, hey, Andrew, question is above. All right, Redify. Let me see if I can find it. Actually, I'm going to assume it's not in the live chat. So if you can, just retype it in. That'd be greatly appreciated. Also, Cam and Mel, I'm curious if you ended up typing in a question earlier. If that is the case, I see it. Okay, it says Pearsall, Tracy, or Dobbins in a half PPR at the flex. Okay. Of those available, let me see where I have Tracy and Dobbins compared to one another. As it stands, Tracy's 23, Dobbins 26. And then when I look at my flex rankings, let me see where I have Pearsall compared to the bunch. Okay, so as it stands, Pearsall sits there. He's ahead of Tracy. So I'm playing Pearsall ahead of the group. Thank you, Camden. Oh, that's Camden's question. That's not even Cam and Mel. All right, Camden, you got a free question answer, brother. You're good to go. I was like, where is this? All right, never mind. All right, let's see here. Where is... We're looking for Redify. Where art thou? Redify, retype that question when you get a chance. Thanks, man. Frosty, let me answer this real quick for you because, again, it's not attached. It says, greetings and salutations. Flex Hampton, DJ Moore, Pearsall. I'd rather play Hampton out of that group in a PPR. Also, Dak, Fields, or May in a 6-point. I'm still playing Fields there. Thank you, Frosty. Appreciate that. Alrighty, we've taken care of that. Hollywood or Adunze in a full-point PPR? Abso-freaking-lutely. Without a doubt there, Marley. Absolutely. Pearsall or DJ Moore half PPR. Again, really quickly reminding you guys, the rankings right here are up to date as of this morning for a half PPR. So if you're looking for interpositional ranking, for example, somebody asking Pearsall or DJ Moore, the rankings on screen should be able to answer that for you effectively. Somebody's asking Andrews, Ferguson, or Pitts, the rankings that filter on screen to the right will answer that for you. That is the reason why it's there. Is Bowers playing? The expectation is yes. Thank you very much. Okay. So as I'm waiting for those questions to be sent in, which they're not, we will continue on with some of the supers that were sent in so I can catch up effectively. We have a question after Redify was Scott, who says in a PPR, pick one between Hollywood, Walker, Sharps, Mason. Yeah, Hollywood Brown absolutely is the auto play there. Thank you. All right, Next Gen Financials says better bench stash for this week. Io Manor or Tootin? I would rather have Tootin. Anytime I can stash a running back that could be a lottery ticket winner, that's the preferred. Rogo sends in the question, says, good morning, bro. Drop McLaughlin for Ryland or stay? No, I would swap. Give me Ryland. Thank you. Sean Bonds sends in a question. Says, I was offered McMillan and Harrison Jr. for Neighbors. No, thank you. I keep Neighbors. Thank you. Fantasy Forecast. I'm assuming you have a question in the live chat, but I don't see anything there. Let me see if I can find your question in the live chat. Let me go ahead and seek that out right now. In the future, do me a favor and attach it to your question. Thank you. Fantasy Forecast says, should I drop Fannin for Henry? I'm not dropping Fannin, no. Says, I'm scared to miss out on a Fannin. Yeah, I mean, listen, if I was in your position and you cannot drop anybody else to pick up Henry this week, I'm starting Fannin because I'm in the same, I have the exact same mindset as you to where I would prefer to keep Fannin and even start him this week to ensure that I am on the inside track of making sure that if he is the blow-up tight end one of the year, that at least I have the opportunity of keeping him on roster. So if I was in your position and you have nothing else to drop for Hunter Henry, keep Fannin, start Fannin. You're good to go. Thank you. All right, let me go back into the live chat. See if Cam and Mel. Okay, Cam and Mel is gone. So we're going to move past that. And we're going to go to Redify here. Oh. All right, Redify says question one. Okay, so question is, in a half PPR, I have Bowers and Juwan Johnson currently. Wondering if I should grab Mayer, and drop Johnson, though, in case Bowers is good to go. It is probably in your best interest to try to play Bowers. Now, does that require dropping Juwan Johnson? If it does, then so be it. But I'd like to keep... Okay, let's think about this. You have Bowers. If he's healthy all season, you don't need another tight end unless you're trying to pick up trade leverage or, of course, prepare for an upcoming bye week. Typically, in this situation, I would like to keep Johnson so that if he is continuing to be relevant for fantasy purposes, I can leverage that into a future trade. But in the event in which you do not have the opportunity of doing so, then sure, I'm dropping him, I'm picking up Mayer, and I'm ensuring my Bowers shares for tomorrow. Thank you. All right, we continue on with the following. Where the heck is... Okay, so we took care of that question. Okay, Golem, 33. Says flex, full PPR. McMillan, Marvin Harrison, Pearsall, Connor. Of those available, give me James Conner against the Panthers defense. Thank you. We continue on with Michael Gonzalez, who says, ETN or Emeka Egbuka, full PPR. Thank you. Have a great Sunday. Thank you. You too as well, Michael. Let's go with ETN there. Jaden Oliver sends in a question. Says, are we starting JSN over BTJ in a full PPR? Correct. Absolutely. I mean, again, here's the thing. If you've got JSN and you've got BTJ, we're starting them both, right? There should be no reason in which you have both on roster and they're both not starting this week. Unless, again, you're playing in a 6-team league. If that's the case, then sure. We're playing JSN. Thank you. No Love Matt says in a full PPR flex 2, Hollywood, Tet, Dobbins, Chubb, Warren, Ridley, and Pollard. Thank you. Okay. Matt, I'm playing Hollywood alongside of probably it's either Pollard or Tet. Let me see where I have Pollard comparatively to him. Okay, so as of right now, they're back-to-back ranked. I don't mind the idea of playing Tetterow and McMillan there over Pollard. You have Dobbins as well. I'm not playing Dobbins, not playing Chubb, not playing Jalen Warren. Ridley, I'm not interested in. So yeah, it's either, Hollywood for sure, but then it's either Pollard or Tet. As of right now, I have Pollard projected ahead of Tet McMillan by 0.1 points. Okay, it's simple and it's very close. Whoever you prefer, go with. But they're back-to-back ranked at this point. But I'll take Pollard there if I was making the suggestion. Thank you. Young Money sends in a question, says, I'm back. What's up, Young Money? Hope you're doing well. Yes, I do remember the name. Okay, I do remember the name. Says, LOL, flex, PPR, Igbuka or Hampton. I'd play Hampton there. Says, I have Mike Evans starting a wide receiver, but I hate to start two of the same team. Honestly, it might be better that you start two from the same team. That way you never miss out on the value. But as of right now, I have Hampton significantly ahead of Igbuka, so I'll lean in that direction. Thank you. Dejuan Golden says, gambling today. What's your top 3 plays? Yeah, in terms of potential plays that I've made via Betr that I've shared over the course of the last couple days here, let me see if I can pull it up on screen for y'all, just so that we're all on the same page as to what I'm just kind of putting together. I've got some crazy plays per se. If my internet wants to work, and effectively will, then I can go ahead and share that with y'all. Okay, let's go ahead and let's share this a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead, change the graphics on screen here in just a few seconds. Okay, so really quickly, if I go here and I look at my entries, okay, so a couple of the entries that I made for as of today, okay, Achan, more than 2.5 receptions, and Jigba, more than 4.5 receptions, an anytime tutty from T. Higgins, and an anytime tutty from Derrick Henry. Okay, I like these plays. Then we go to pure. Again, you don't have to put it in the exact order. These are just like some of the plays that I've liked and that I've caught my eye, and I was like, yeah, I'm going with. Pearsall, receptions. Strange, receptions. Devontae Smith, fantasy points. Then I just go with Sutton and Achan. I'm putting a big $100 bill on it and rolling with that. Okay, so these are some of the plays that I like going into this week. Again, there are many of plays in which you could make via Betr. And of course, you get my rankings every week if that's something of interest. So again, all that down below. And again, as of right now, new members who sign up, you don't even have to make a deposit. You get a free $10 via Betr. So again, if you're eligible within one of the following states, and of course you're eligible via age, all that kind of stuff, be responsible, of course, first and foremost, but that is available. Thank you, Dejuan Golden. Appreciate it. Artsy Clone 2012 says, good morning, Andrew. In a half PPR, McMillan, Judy, or Pearsall have JSN in London already. Yeah, in that circumstance, I'm playing Tyreek Hill. Thank you. Continuing on, Frosty, we took care of that. The S-Box had a question. Says, I like the S-Box. I really only just right now, out of all the times that you've sent in questions over the years here, I've only now just realized that your avatar is Crash Bandicoot. Wow, okay. It says, full PPR. Someone offered me Josh Allen and Pacheco for Jalen Hurts and Genty. No, thank you. I will keep Jalen Hurts and Genty, and I will laugh in their face. Continuing on. Let's see here. We have Kevin G who sends in a question. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. It says, in a half PPR, Tet or Pollard? Ooh, yeah. I mentioned this earlier. I think I have them. Actually, no, it's probably, yeah. Half PPR, Pollard 44, Tet 45. They're back-to-back. I prefer Pollard. Walker or Pearsall? I go Pearsall there. Again, Pearsall last week, so as soon as George Kittle left the game, when I was rewatching that game, Pearsall had 2 opportunities of scoring touchdowns. Unfortunately, one of which was slightly overthrown out of bounds by Brock Purdy, and then the other one slightly underthrown, in which, of course, Woolen was able to kind of catch up to it and bat it down and have a pass defense. Otherwise, we had a little bit of, not a little bit, we had 2 viable opportunities for Pearsall to score on separate drives there. So Pearsall is going to be good, guys. As the conductor of the Pearsall hype train, should be good this week. Especially even with Mac Jones. I'm all good with that. Jonathan sends in a question, says Trevor Lawrence or Baker Mayfield. Listen, usually I would say Baker, usually. But the issue is that Houston Texans defense in comparison to the cakewalk of a defense that the Cincinnati Bengals are. So I'm going with Trevor Lawrence there. Follow-up question, DK Metcalf or A.J. Brown full PPR? As it stands, I have DK Metcalf as my number 22, A.J. Brown as my number 20. They're both tier 6 wide receivers. I don't mind playing one over the other, but I do have A.J. Brown ranked higher. The squeaky wheel usually gets the oil when it comes to A.J. Brown. Expect him to complain a bunch and get a good volume of targets in the absence of Dallas Goedert today. I don't think Grant Calcaterra is going to be getting a lot of workload. It's going to be Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown feasting. Ray sends in a question. Says, in a 14-team full PPR tight end premium format, CJ or Jonnu in my super flex? I would rather play CJ Stroud, legitimately. Jonnu Smith still has to compete for targets with a bunch of receiving threats, specifically as well with Pat Freiermuth within the same position. I know that they schemed him up to get a couple good opportunities there, but the average depth of target wasn't nice. And even though the Seattle Seahawks are technically the best tight end matchup of the week, I'd much rather play a quarterback over a tight end, even in a super flex premium. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We took care of all that. Okay, continuing on. We had a question that came in from Bryce. Thank you, Bryce. Appreciate it. It says, drop the Bills defense versus the New York Jets for the Eagles versus the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe I have the Bills defense ranked higher. Let me see here. So right now I got the Bills. Actually, I do have the Philadelphia Eagles one spot ahead of the Bills. Are we making that swap? You don't really technically have to. They're both tier 8 in my list, but I technically have the Eagles ranked a little bit higher. Not to the point to where I need to make the change. Let's look at the upcoming schedule here. Bills schedule. They play against the Dolphins next week. Okay. Let me look at the Eagles. They play against the Rams next week. Okay. So as of right now, if I was in your position, Bryce, I think playing the Bills this week against the Jets is fine. And then additionally, because you get to keep the Bills, you get to utilize them next week against Miami on Thursday. It's a short week. They're going to beat the crap out of Tua. And then the next week after that, they play against Rattler. So I think the Bills defense is the proper keep and play this week. Thank you. Skills all day sends in a question. Skills, hope you're doing well. Long time no see. Says Judkins or Thornton. Look, we saw a report just a couple minutes ago, and I'll reiterate what it says. It says Rappaport projecting or says Quinshon Judkins expected to play around 10 to 15 snaps on Sunday. That's not a lot of overall opportunity. Now, again, within 10 to 15 snaps, he could get 8 rushing attempts. Who knows? And one of them could be on the goal line. So that is of value, but when I compare it to like Thornton's, I don't know if I want to play Thornton at all. 16-man flex, Ravens or Pittsburgh defense, got to play the Ravens defense today. Am I playing Judkins over Thornton? Yeah, I am. Honestly, I am. Even with the lack of potential opportunity, with the snaps kind of being limited, I don't know if I feel the most comfortable. I would rather legitimately, instead of Thornton, let me give you some suggestions. You go and see if they're available. Instead of playing Thornton, I would legitimately rather play. I'm going to go down this list. Ray McLeod, Rashad Bateman, Xavier Legette, Cooper Kupp, Josh Palmer, Zacchaeus, Juju Smith-Schuster, Demario Douglas, Troy Franklin, Jaden Higgins, Adam Thielen, DeAndre Hopkins, Tyquan Thornton, Kavonte Turpin, Trey Tucker, Alec Pierce, Hunter Renfrow, Tyler Johnson, Malik Washington. I'd rather play all of those players over him. If those are opportunity, if the opportunity is available to go in that direction, let's go in that direction. If it's a full PPR. If it's a half standard, just go with Judkins. Rob Castle sends in a question. Says standard league. Need one. Shakir, Booty, Judy, Mooney. Standard league. As of that point, it's Booty or it's Judy or Mooney. Wow. I feel like you set up those names on purpose just to have it rhyme, Rob. I don't know what it is, but I'm a little bit suspicious by your motives here, brother. Okay, so of those available, let's look at my half PPR rankings, and then I'll compare it to whatever it could theoretically be in a standard format. I'm going Jerry Jeudy there. Thank you. Hakeem sends in a question. Says, pick 1.5 PPR. Adams, Kamara, Pearsall, or Jonathan Taylor. Give me Jonathan Taylor there in a half PPR. Thank you. Trent, 7211, says, in a half PPR, Pickens or tight end premium full PPR Tyler Warren. 100% Tyler Warren without a doubt in my mind. Thank you. Raptor Fan 11 sends in a question. Raptor Fan, if you could do me a favor, retype it into the live chat. That'd be greatly appreciated so I can get to answering your question. Thank you. I'm going to type in Raptor here and maybe see if you ended up typing it in earlier and it's still available. All right. Raptor Fan 11 says, in a half PPR start 2, Christian McCaffrey, Ashton Genty, and Alvin Kamara. Hard considering benching. Yeah, as of right now, I don't see myself benching Genty there. So, I'm going to tell you to play McCaffrey and Genty and bench Kamara. Again, if you don't have the opportunity to play Kamara in the flex, then so be it. But that's just, yeah, I'm not sitting Genty or McCaffrey in this circumstance. Thank you. All right, after Raptor fan, we had a question that came in from Zenith, who says, flex Charbonnet, Booty, or Johnston PPR. I'm playing Kenneth Walker already. Oh, okay. I mean, I think that might end up just... I wouldn't mind the idea of just playing both of the running backs just to be able to maintain the full value. Actually, I would probably suggest you do that. I think it's probably in your best interest to maintain and contain all of the value of the Seattle Seahawks backfield, just in the same way in which last year, or maybe even the year prior, back in 2023, when teams had both Gibbs and Montgomery, I would usually say, I'd like, listen, we should just start them both. Or last season, it was more like, oh, I have Bucky Irving and I have Rachaad White. Do I play them both? And the answer was typically yes. We want to maintain the full value of the backfield because we know it has value. Because Seattle takes on the Pittsburgh Steelers defense that couldn't stop a soul in the run game. Now, that obviously has to do with the fact that the rookie left tackle of the Jets is going to be a Pro Bowler sooner rather than later. And that guy was absolutely moving bodies. But ultimately, yeah, I would suggest playing both of those running backs for Seattle. Jared Smith says, full PPR, Stroud or Stafford? I prefer Stroud as of this week. He plays tomorrow night, though. Craig sends in a question. Craig Wilkie says, in a half PPR, Odunze or Mason? Let's see. Where do we have Mason comparatively to Rome? Rome Odunze is ranked higher than Jordan Mason. So Rome Odunze takes the spot there. Thank you. It says whole team plays at 1 and 4. Yeah. So basically, you're going to know whether or not you won your week before even Sunday Night Football, which is going to be an interesting go about it. Thank you. All right, we move on to Andrew Clark. What's up, Andrew? Says, who should I start? Pacheco, Charbonnet, Sampson. I would, yeah. If I was in your shoes, I would probably end up playing Charbonnet there. But let me look at a full PPR ranking just to confirm. Pacheco, Charbonnet, Sampson. Yeah, I'm playing Charbonnet there. Thank you. Gabriel sends in a question. This is Gabriel Catalan, who says, Chubb, Michael Pittman, Harvey, flex full PPR. Okay, let me see where I have Pittman comparatively to Chubb, and then we'll go about this. As of right now, I got Michael Pittman Jr. ranked the highest of the bunch in a full PPR. So it would go Pittman 1, Chubb 2, Harvey 3. Thank you. Papa Bless sends in a question. Says questions in the chat. Thank you, Papa Bless. Appreciate it. If you can in future instances, please do me a favor and attach it to your question. Because when I'm looking in the live chat right now, unfortunately, I don't see a question from you in the live chat. So you're going to have to retype that in. Thanks, man. Why are we so low on Ibuka? The primary reason is because of the coverage from Houston. I don't love it. I don't like the matchup there. I'm already playing matchups in week 2, but that's just how I like to play fantasy. Again, like I've mentioned earlier, if you guys like the idea of playing a player that's on the hot hand, that's coming off a week in which he scored 25 points, I don't blame you. That's just the way that I have it currently constructed and projected out. Doesn't lead me to believe he's going to score a bunch unless he catches the ever-elusive touchdown, which, again, is the most difficult thing to predict in fantasy. Fantasy Forecast sends in a follow-up. Says, Kyler, Swift, Bucky, Amon-Ra, Sutton, Ladd, Fannin, Kittle. Bench consisting of Quentin Johnston, Charbonnet, Sampson, Judkins, Mooney, Debo, Montgomery. Moves to make. JCM plus Herb for Kyler and Kittle. So you would trade away Kyler and Kittle. Who's your backup tight end? You have Fannin. Okay. You get JCM to add on top of... Okay. You know, look, in the long term, I actually don't mind it, but here's my only concern. Okay, if you lose Kittle here, Fannin has to actually deliver forever. Like, it's not like he can only be a one-week wonder. So that's my only concern here. If there's a possibility in which you could make this move and then drop a player to pick up another tight end, I think that would be the best play, because I'm sure, like, yeah, I don't mind the trade. I think it's an actual good trade in terms of improving your team, because I would like to have JCM instead of specifically instead of Swift going forward. So if we can make that happen, great. But in the event in which, we're not able to pick up another tight end and Fannin doesn't deliver, that's where it's going to hurt you. But in terms of long-term value, I think you could still end up trading for another tight end in the future, as you have Debo on the bench and not even starting because you have Amon-Ra, Sutton, and Ladd, to which you can then just take Debo and whoever the heck else and go find a tight end. So I'd make the move. I'm okay with it. Old J Running sends in a question. Says PPR flex, Egbuka, McMillan, or Jordan Mason. As of right now, McMillan is my highest rank. Thank you. Jay sends in a question. Says Javonte or Hollywood Brown in a half PPR. Great question. As it currently stands, I have Javonte Williams ranked higher. As for your next question, says thoughts on Javonte after week 1. I mean, after Miles Sanders fumbled, he didn't play another single snap. We heard Jerry Jones earlier this week say that Jaden Blue still needs to show more at practice in order to become active on Sundays. So it looks like it's Javonte's job to lose. And as long as he's continuing to be associated with an offense that can score and effectively run the ball, when you're taking on the New York Giants run stop defense that quite literally can't stop a soul in the category for the last 5 consecutive years, it's a pretty good play. And outside of injury, he should be able to maintain the job. I mean, he looked a lot better than I anticipated, primarily because what I saw last season from him wasn't pretty within that offense for the Denver Broncos. Dragon Slayer sends in a question. What's up, Dragon Slayer? Says PPR drop Jake Ferguson to pick up Kenneth Walker immediately. Done. It's already done. It's in my roster. Finished. Says I have Juwan Johnson as my other tight end, and I have Charbonnet. Yeah, got to pick it up immediately. Thank you. Keloid sends in a question. Says Hunter or Ridley? PPR coin toss. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's technically a coin toss. I know that Travis Hunter is going to catch more balls today. And I think with that alone, I'm willing to go in that direction, especially considering the Cincinnati Bengals gave up over 10 receptions and over 100 receiving yards to slot receiving options last week. Hunter is exclusively playing in the slot. If I'm not mistaken, he was like top 5 at the wide receiver position in week 1 in terms of slot receptions and targets. Let me just confirm this before I'm just blowing smoke out of my ass. Let's put this to the test. Yeah, he was number 4 in terms of slot targets in week 1. 6 targets, only behind Marquise Hollywood Brown, Puka Nacua, and Debo Samuel. Debo Samuel technically has played 2 weeks. So if I customize it to being only week 1, let me go ahead and recalibrate. Loading. Technically, he's number 3, only behind Puka and Marquise Hollywood Brown for slot overall targets. And when you're taking on a defense who's getting exposed within the category, I'll lean in that direction for the overall upside. Thank you. King Fred sends in a question. Says full PPR Zach Charbonnet, Keenan Allen, or George Pickens. Give me Keenan Allen there. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. Damien sends in a question. Says who do I flex in a full PPR out of Pollard, Pearsall, Wandell, Tillman, Tracy, and Shakir? Also Fannin or Njoku. I'm going to stick with Njoku there. As for the prior question, let me see where I have full PPR. Where's Ricky Pearsall? Ricky Pearsall is there. Pollard is there. Who else do you have? You have Wandell, Tillman, Tracy, and Shakir. Yeah, as of right now, it's between Tony Pollard and Ricky Pearsall. As of right now, I got Pollard ranked 1, Pearsall 2, Tracy 3, Shakir 4, Tillman 5, Wandell 6. Thank you. Pierre sends in a question. Says standard, 2 questions. Ridley or Booty? I'll take Ridley there. Second question, need 1 running back. Jordan Mason, Charbonnet, Trevion Henderson. Give me Henderson there. Thank you. Oh, it's a standard league. Jeez. Okay, hold up. If it's a standard league for Trevion Henderson, not interested. At that point, I will just default going back to, let me see here. Standard league, 0 points per reception. I'll just play Jordan Mason there. Thank you. Billy Jack sends in a question, and so does Jay. Nothing attached to your guys' questions. If you can, do me a favor and retype it in the chat. Thank you. All right, so let's put Billy Jack. And in the future, if you guys could, please attach your questions to the supers. Thank you. Andrew Clark sends in a question. Says full PPR, Ricky Pearsall, Ridley, Adams, Tyreek, Marvin Harrison. Who do I start? The order in which I would start this in a full PPR is as such. Tyreek 1, Adams 2, Pearsall 3, Marvin Harrison 4, Ridley 5. Thank you. Nom Nom says, hi, Andrew. Questions in the chat. All right, Nom Nom. You do the same, brother. Make sure you include questions attached to supers in the future. Appreciate it. All right, let's see here. If I can find your guys' questions, it would be incredibly... Nope, no Billy Jack. That's not good. Okay, Jay. All right, Jay says, was debating starting Daniel Jones over Murray, but I see you don't have Jones ranked in the top 16. Is it because Jones plays the Broncos? That's exactly why. And also, when you played against the Miami Dolphins defense and how bad Miami looked, it leads me to believe that maybe the Colts looked better than they actually are because of the competition they faced in week 1. So I'm trying to like kind of give it a little bit of a rest to where I'm like, okay, I want to be level-headed in my approach here. I'm not trying to over-position ourselves into a vulnerable spot in the event in which Daniel Jones and this offense struggles against a top-tier defense like, of course, the Denver Broncos. So yes, that's primarily why. So I'd still stick with Kyler Murray taking on the Carolina Panthers. Thank you. Nom Nom says in an 8-man full PPR, Daniels, Barkley, Achane, DK, Debo, Fannin, Javonte, Rams, and Jake Bates. Would you swap any of them onto the bench? I think Williams is the safer bet with in the flex with volume. Is Bucky Irving Kamara? What? Brother. Okay, here's the thing. You have Bucky Irving Kamara and Brown on your bench, which, I mean, in the case of Barkley and Achane, makes sense. But if I was in your position, I don't see the light of day in which I would ever sit Barkley or I would ever sit Irving or Kamara for Javonte. I couldn't do it myself. I don't, yeah. But hey, listen, you're playing an 8-man league. You have all-star teams. You're going to have to make difficult decisions like this going forward. If I was in your position, I'm playing Bucky Irving there. But if you want to play Javonte, again, more power to you. I mean, again, if it comes out to being a solid play, that's what I'm hoping is the case. Again, I'm suggesting Javonte in the hopes that, of course, he plays well. In the event in which he doesn't, then hopefully we'll just, in the future play Bucky or Kamara, considering the full PPR format there, my man. Thank you. All right, let's see here. We continue on with the next question. Let me see, actually, did Billy Jack send in his question just real quick? Anything from Billy Jack? There it is. It says, Andrews, tight end premium. Andrews, Ingram, Fannin. In a tight end PPR premium, 1.5 points per reception. I'm still sticking with Mark Andrews. Because if my projection is that Mark Andrews catches the ball 4 times today, right? Like it's still going to be in his face. Yeah, I'm still sticking with Mark Andrews there. If you want to play Fannin, you can. I'm going to play Andrews. At least I'm going to suggest that to be the play. Thank you. All right, we continue on with a question from H. Jockish 7, who says full PPR. Ted McMillan, Igbuka, Travion Henderson, Swift. Yeah, cool. Of those available in a full PPR, as it stands, I would suggest we probably lean in the direction of Tet, Igbuka, and Swift. Thank you. Dan Seck sends in a question. Says, drop blue? Yes. RB rest of season, Gainwell, Ford, Dowdle, Spears. If we're talking about rest of season, who has the most presentable value, I'd end up picking up Spears, putting him on my IR, then picking up Gainwell immediately after. If you do not have a potential IR spot available, then I'm just picking up Gainwell. CJ0417 says full PPR, pick 2 to start in the flex. We have Henderson, Hunter, Javonte Williams, Pickens, or Charbonnet. Now, I'm assuming Jay Williams is Javonte and not JMO, because if it was Jamison Williams, you would just put JMO. I assume, CJ, but I'm not 100% certain of this. So of the available options you have in a full PPR format, Javonte Williams alongside of Henderson is my suggestion there. If it's not Javonte and that is Jamison, at that point I'd play Hunter and Henderson. Thank you. All right. AEPM 16 says in a half PPR, start Jordan Mason or Kenneth Walker. I believe the rankings on screen demonstrate Jordan Mason ahead of Kenneth Walker this week. So I play Jordan Mason there, 1 spot ahead of him. Same tier. Flex DJ, Hunter, or Keon. As of right now, in a half PPR, I'll take DJ Moore. Thank you. Jason. Marionette. No. I don't even know. I'm dyslexic. Continuing. Jason sends in a question. It says half PPR, 2 rec and a flex. Okay, 2 receivers in a flex. Adams, Metcalf, McMillan, Hampton, and Allen. Okay. Of those available options, Hampton plays in your flex. Metcalf alongside is half PPR, correct? Okay. Metcalf alongside of McMillan. Those are the 2 starters at wide receiver. Thank you. H. Jockish sends in a follow-up. Says rest of season full PPR, Downs or Booty. I'd rather have Downs. Now, this being said, that's primarily because I think Stephon Diggs will get an expanded role in due time. And Booty's value will kind of diminish accordingly. William Long sends in a question. Says half PPR. Travion Henderson or Pearsall. In a half PPR, I currently do have Pearsall ranked higher. Thank you, William. Appreciate it. Hope you're doing well, sir. JNA Gaming sends in a follow-up. Says, full PPR, would you trade Hunter and Diggs for A.J. Brown? I would. Yes, I would. Jesse G sends in a question. Says, Pittman or Pearsall non-PPR? Give me Pearsall. Jesse G also says, happy birthday. Thank you. I appreciate it. Lamara sends in a question. Says, standard league, Hill, Swift, Dobbins, Warren, Egbuka, Tillman. Choose 3 of the names. Okay, so of those available in a standard scoring format, I'll take Hill alongside of Swift and Warren, assuming it's Jalen Warren. Thank you. Next question, Njoku or Ingram? Give me Njoku. Thank you very much, Lamara. BTO2 says, Tillman, Hollywood, or Quentin Johnston? PPR pick 2. I'll take Hollywood, and I will take, let me see where I have Quentin Johnston. Yeah, Quentin Johnston and Hollywood. Those are my 2 suggestions. Thank you, BT. DeAndre Warren sends in a question. Says, rank them for rest of season. Brian Robinson, Caleb Johnson, Najee Harris, and Bayshal Tootin. Okay. As of right now, Brian Robinson is the highest ranked. Bayshal Tootin is number 3. Sorry. Brian Robinson, number 1. Bayshal Tootin, number 2. Caleb Johnson, 3. Najee Harris, 4. Thank you. Trevor Melville says, in a full PPR, last spot, Booty, Quentin Johnston, Shaheed. I have Quentin Johnston ranked the highest of the bunch. It would be Johnston 1. It would go Shaheed 2, Booty 3. Thank you. Josh Shepard sends in a question. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate it. It says PPR flex Kincaid, Booty, Mooney, or Jennings. Okay, so from starting one of the group, let me see where I have Mooney in comparison to the alternatives. Okay, Darnell Mooney sits there. You have Jawan Jennings, who I do not have ranked higher than him. You have Booty, who I do not have ranked higher than him. And then you have Kincaid, who I do. I'm playing Darnell Mooney today, Josh. Thank you. Eater B sends in a question. Says Metcalf or Egbuka in the last flex spot. I would play Metcalf there. Thank you. Brandon O'Leary says, in a full PPR, I need one between Shakir, Charbonnet, Booty, and Alick. Yeah, between those, I'm going to play Khalil Shakir in a full PPR. Thank you. Rogers family says, full PPR, Travion Henderson, Pearsall, Devontae Smith, start 2. Full PPR. I'm playing both wide receivers. Give me Ricky Pearsall and give me Devontae Smith. Thank you. Christian San Augustine sends in a question. Says 2 leagues, both PPR, Juju, Tillman, Waddle. Give me Waddle there. Second team, I need one between Hill, Hollywood, Cook, ETN. Sorry. Okay, the first team was need 1. I'll take Waddle. The second team is you need 2. Let me see where I have James Cook in comparison to those alternative options in a full PPR, and then I'll be able to kind of advise you as to which we're going. As it currently stands, I'm leaning towards both of the receivers. In a full PPR, I have Tyreek Hill and Hollywood Brown projected higher than James Cook. So as of right now, that's the direction I'd go in. Waddle, I mean, you're basically all in on the Dolphins technically today. Waddle, Hill, Hollywood. This is the final test for the Dolphins. If they can put together a solid performance, great. If they can't, this team is going to, I mean, they're going to start 0-3. That's a given because they'll lose to Buffalo next week and on Thursday. So this is the final chance for them to kind of get right before it's, the wheels fall off. Justin says full PPR, pick 2, Hampton, Sutton, Hollywood, Brown. Of those available in a full PPR, I'm playing both wide receivers. Give me Hollywood, Brown, and Sutton. Thank you, Justin. Papa Bless says, I think you forgot my question. Oh, yeah. You know what was, Papa Bless? I didn't see it immediately in the chat, so I completely overlooked that. That's my bad. Sorry about that, Papa Bless. Says, would you trade Bowers and Harvey for Nico Njoku, full PPR? Yes, I would. Immediately, in fact. I would much rather have Nico Collins going forward. And it says, the thing is best, my best RB3 would be Pacheco, and receivers would be London, Chase, Devon Smith. Yeah, look, Papa Bless, I think it's the right move to make because effectively you're going to be looking to trade Devontae Smith, Egbuka, and then play Nico, London, and Chase every single week. So I think this is the proper trade, to which then in the future you're going to trade Devontae Smith and Egbuka for your running back depth that you're effectively losing with Harvey. So yes, you make the trade. It is the proper move to make. Thank you. Apologies again for missing that. Again, I didn't see your question immediately attached and wasn't in the live chat, so completely overlooked that and forgot. Thank you for reminding me. Cade sends in a question, says full PPR, start 2. Marvin Harrison, Genty, Etienne Myers. Let me see. Okay, Genti has to start. There's no way in which I'm not starting Genti. I think it's an impossibility at this point. It's too early in the season for me to be abandoning ship there. So in a full PPR, it then becomes a question of Etienne versus Myers, to which at that point I am legitimately playing Jacoby Myers. Give me Genti and Myers there. Thank you. Carson sends in a question, says Tyreek or Zay Flowers full PPR flex. I would rather play Flowers. Thank you. Moving on to Cowboys, 955, who sends in a question. Cowboys, hope you're doing well. Says Colston Loveland droppable and for Isaiah Likely. Well, look, here's the thing. If you're going to pick up Isaiah Likely, I would hope that you have an IR spot available to put him there because he's currently designated out and probably won't play until, I would say, week 4 or 5. And by that point, there's a possibility in which this could be the year that Isaiah Likely fully takes over for Mark Andrews. Is he fully droppable? Again, if you can't put Isaiah Likely in your IR, I'd still rather hold Colston Loveland in the meanwhile. Chris Bellato sends in a question, says in a full PPR, pick one between Waddle, Kenneth Walker, Calvin Austin. I believe I have Waddle ranked the highest of the group. Let me just confirm. I have Waddle 2 spots ahead of Kenneth Walker. So I'm playing Waddle there today. Also, how do we feel about Kenneth Walker long term? Okay, so this is the thing. When I watched the film of the game back this week, it's relatively evident that they want this to be a rotation. So the first drive comes out, Kenneth Walker's getting utilized, whether it's out wide, receiving, early rushing attempts. Then the second drive is a Charbonnet drive. But in those Charbonnet drives, we do see spurts of Kenneth Walker being utilized within receiving categories. So when they get into a situation in which they know they have to throw the ball, they'll bring Kenneth Walker back out. They motion him in the backfield. They line him up out wide. They set him up for screen passes, all that kind of jazz. So ultimately, if Kenneth Walker is still going to get the vast majority of rushing attempts, still going to be more implicated within the receiving game, and Charbonnet's primary threat is a red zone kind of option, even though, yes, he is the more efficient back, I think it does still leave Kenneth Walker to be of value, but it requires that he's a far more efficient runner than he was last week, which again, when you're playing against San Francisco's run-stop defense, in comparison to hopefully what Pittsburgh's going to present, I think Kenneth Walker should still be okay long-term, but like where we have him ranked on screen, what I mean long-term. So what that means is that once this turns to showing the top 36 rankings at running back, that's kind of the range in which I'll feel comfortable with him. He sits currently this week as running back 29 and Charbonnet 30. Because in the event in which he scores a touchdown and he gets his, 60 yards total, okay, he has 12 fantasy points. He's going to be a top 18 there. He can jump into that conversation. But in the event in which he doesn't score a touchdown and Charbonnet is the contributor there, then unfortunately he's just kind of, a low-end RB3. So from where we drafted him to where he is going to potentially end up, I don't love what I'm seeing, but at least there's still a little bit of hope left. Gio Ortiz says, no Pickens ranking. Why Hollywood so high? Did we not watch the game last week, Gio? Hollywood had 16 targets, 10 grabs, and he's only going to continue to be targeted at that high of a level. That's not going away. Pickens, unfortunately, the reality of the situation for Pickens is unless he catches the 60-yard bomb down the sideline, there's very little value contributed effectively. Especially even last week, he was going up against, it wasn't Quinyon Mitchell. It was the opposite corner, who is the weakest corner specifically for the Philadelphia Eagles. Gosh, I know the name. He played for USC. I don't know. Anyway, I forgot it. The thing about Pickens is, again, there's too much risk. That's the way that I see it. I've always seen Pickens in the same light. And now that he's the number 2, if not number 3 receiving option of the offense, in a game in which they should be leading because they're running the ball and have a maintained lead, Pickens becomes a lesser option. In Hollywood, again, when you're going to see yourself double-digit targets today, it's difficult to not play him. Thank you. We continue with Gabriel Catalan, who says that Fields or Mayfield, full PPR. Yeah, I mean, listen, the PPR format doesn't really make a difference in terms of the field circumstance. Absolutely playing Fields there. Yeah, Mayfield against Houston, not too keen on that. Kadiak sends in a question, says, in a full PPR flex 2 between Chubb, Diggs, Pacheco, and or Pittman. Chubb, Diggs, Pacheco, Pittman. I'm not interested in playing Pacheco. I'd probably feel a little bit more comfortable playing Pittman in comparison to Chubb. So in this circumstance, I probably end up, let me see here. Where's Stephon Diggs in my rankings? Yeah, I have Diggs and Michael Pittman Jr. in a full PPR ranked higher than Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb would have to score a guaranteed touchdown to be more productive than them. So Diggs and Pittman are my suggestions there. Super Saiyan MKV sends in a question. What's up, man? Says full PPR, flex Etienne or T. Higgins. I'd rather play T. Higgins today. Legitimately in a full PPR. Thank you. JC Smith says, all right, Andrew, save me from tilting in a full PPR. I've got two between Sutton, Pearsall, and AJ Brown. Yeah, look, as of right now, Sutton has to play. Between AJ Brown and Pearsall, there can be a discussion potentially as to who we are leaning towards. I'm going to hope that the lack of Dallas Goedert being present within that Eagles offense does present more value for AJ Brown. So I'm going Sutton and AJB here. Thank you. All right, Walker sends in a question. Siobhan Walker says, okay, we're playing Saints or the Vikings defense. I'd rather play the Vikings defense. I don't know if I'm comfortable playing the Saints defense in any capacity. It says also, should I drop Io Manor for Thornton or Troy Franklin? No, I'd rather have Io Manor. He's a hidden gem this week. Thank you. Keith Root sends in a question. Thank you, Keith. Says, Bowers owner here. Half PPR, currently have Pitts and as just in case. Okay. But Schultz, Juwan Johnson, Henry, and Mayer are available on the waivers. What's the move? Okay, so here's my question. Well, okay, here's the move. The move is if you have the availability of being able to pick up an alternative option and drop, let's say, for example, you have Ollie Gordon on roster. You're like, Andrew, I could pick up somebody. All right, great. Let's pick up the potential of... Actually, yeah, then at that point, I'm dropping him to pick up Mayer. And then at that point, I'm just pushing to Monday. In the event in which I have to drop Pitts in order to pick up Mayer to then secure that Bowers plays on Monday, then I do that as well. Because at this point, let's say, for example, Bowers was out, I would rather play Mayer over Pitts this week. So Mayer is pretty much the option to ensure that without a doubt on Monday, you get one of, whoever's the starting tight end for the Raiders on Monday, you're playing them. Thank you. Easy E sends in a question. This is PPR. Flex Travion Henderson, Pearsall, DJ Moore, Quentin Johnston. Of those available in a PPR, I've got Pearsall ranked the highest. That's the direction I go in. Thank you, Easy. Reese Adams says, Njoku or Hunter Henry rest of season? I would like to hope... Well, you know what? No, it probably changes in this circumstance. Fannin is going to be so involved going forward that I assume that Njoku will be a lesser option. Henry stays healthy too. I would like to hope... I'm going to say for right now, Njoku's the answer. Because again, 1 week of production is not something that I'm going to completely just abandon him for rest of season. I still think that Njoku provides a lot of value. So I'll lean towards Njoku for right now. Today's game and his efforts will certainly display whether or not the answer is in fact true or if we're going to be shifting to Hunter Henry from weeks 3 and forward. Thank you. Philip Zhang sends in a question. Says, reasoning for moving Tracy past Dobbins. Yeah, I primarily looked at... Okay, so there's multiple factors to this. First and foremost, when I watched back the game for the Denver Broncos, specifically Harvey, I think is a lot more involved than I originally thought. Having seen, snippets of the game in comparison to watching the full game, I'm like, okay, there's a lot more Harvey than I anticipated. And if there's a possibility in which he even expands his role, the amount of routes that Harvey was running on top of it, again, I think we're going to probably see ourselves shifting to a more balanced position between Dobbins and Harvey, which then in comparison to Tracy and Scadaboo is a non-factor, especially in terms of route running, which I think gives Tracy a little bit of the advantage, not only on the ground, but of course through the air. In comparison to Dobbins, who's obviously got the running back breathing down his neck. John's Wall says PPR, pick one between Walker, Pacheco, Sampson, and Dobbins. Of those available, Dobbins is the answer, I believe, right? In a full PPR? Never mind, I have Kenneth Walker one spot ahead of Dobbins. So it would go Walker, Dobbins, Sampson, Pacheco in that order. Thank you. Steven Reyna sends in a question. Says PPR, Tillman versus Baltimore, Diggs versus Miami. As of right now, I have Diggs versus Miami. Thank you. Brian Weiss sends in a question. Says one wide receiver, one flex between Adams, Ridley, Sampson, McConkey, and Pearsall. McConkey and Adams are my highest ranked players. Thank you. DeAndre Warren says trade out London, Worthy, Tyler Warren for Gibbs, Pearsall, and 15 fab. I have McBride, Bijan. Okay, wow. Gibbs, Walker. Okay. I'm okay with the trade. That's cool with me. Look, here's the thing. I think once, obviously, Rashee Rice comes back, the value of Worthy is going to diminish. Trading away Tyler Warren for what you're getting in return, the 15 fab, I don't even care for, to be honest. right? I'm just thinking in terms of value across the board. In the short term, it might hurt a little bit, but considering Worthy's out, I'm okay with the trade because you're getting Gibbs. And Gibbs at any given moment can finish as RB1. So the fact that you can have 2 of the top 5 running backs and you still have McBride and you're at least bringing in a little bit of wide receiver depth in return, I'm okay with the trade. I'm not in love with it because, man, I really think Tyler Warren is going to be special this year, but it's fine for now. Lone Lion 02 says Mahomes, T-Law, or Caleb Williams in a 6-point per passing touchdown league. In that kind of a format, I'd lean towards playing Mahomes. Also, Kelsey or Fannin, give me Kelsey. Pretty much just stack, the KC players. Nelson Flores says, in a half PPR, do I pick up Tootin or Alec Iomanner? I'd rather have Tootin on roster. Thank you. Ravens fan sends in a question. Says, half PPR, 2 flex, no tight end, 12-man PPR. Sorry, not half PPR, excuse me. Says, trade Brian Robinson for Ray Davis. I have James Cook, ETN, Tootin, and Blue. Find a wide receiver. I'm okay with that. Yeah, if you're just trying to ensure your stock in James Cook by making this trade, I don't have an issue with it. Sounds good to me. Rogo says, why Strange over Fannin? Thanks, bro. Yeah, I mean, the primary reason is because I'm trying to give Fannin another week to prove that he is exactly what we think he is before I'm full in on the hype train. Now, again, having watched every single snap from Fannin this most recent week, and I mean, I even mentioned it on a Monday's waiver wire episode, like, he pops off the film. He is a legitimate player. But I just want to ensure that it's not going to be like a every other week deal while I have this potential of playing Strange against Cincinnati and expected the highest scoring matchup of the week, in which that defense in Cincinnati, quite frankly, cannot stop opposing tight ends. So Strange based on matchup, Fannin just based on kind of give it a week. As for your next question, it says IR Kittle and Likely. Can you, I mean, if you can technically roster 2 IR players in your league, Rogo, then yeah, pick up Likely. Why not? I think it just helps just kind of secure it. And if it needs to be dropped later, you can drop it later. Hive sends in a question. Says full PPR. Bo Nix, Trevor Lawrence. Okay, I'll take Nix there. And flex Jacoby Myers or Hollywood Brown. Jacoby Myers, Pittman, or Javonte Williams. Yeah, Hollywood Brown's my suggestion there out of the group. If you could play another flex option, Jacoby Myers would be second. Thank you. Ibrahim sends in a question. Says, realistically, what are we expecting from Fannin today? Realistically. Okay, so I think it just depends, right? The game script is going to be a negative one, which we're realistically expecting. As of right now, I want to see actually if the numbers changed. As it currently stands, the Baltimore Ravens at home today are 12.5-point favorites. I don't know if I've ever seen a spread that large. A nearly 2 touchdown spread is ridiculous. But, again, shouldn't be a surprise. It's the Baltimore Ravens. They're probably the best roster in the National Football League. Anyway, realistically speaking, we should, at a base minimum, be able to hopefully see 4 catches, 5 catches from him. So if he's able to produce that, and he's able to at least maintain like an 8-yard per reception average, the potential of 4 catches for 32. Let's say it's not even 4. Let's say it's not even. Okay, hold up. One moment, please. Cross-referencing. Calculating. Yeah, so last week averaged 9 yards per reception. So let's say, for example, he catches the ball 5 times today, 5 for 45, right? That's the realistic play. That he's not over-targeted and overutilized and isn't getting rushing attempts. He ends up with, in a full PPR, 5 catches for 45 yards, 9.5 fantasy points. Pretty solid. In a half PPR, obviously a lesser option. Touchdowns, impossible to predict. Deering Outdoors says, I have Knicks trade Kenneth Walker for Fields. Running backs are okay. Sure. I'm okay with it. I mean, again, I'd like to give Knicks another week here, but if you're set on the idea of shipping off Kenneth Walker because you just really want Fields, then that works. Thank you. Roy Shaver says questions in the chat. Thank you, Roy. Appreciate it. Let me see if I can find it. Roy Shaver says the following. Says in a 10-team half PPR, star 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers /flex, Okay. Starting Genty and Montgomery, St. Brown, Hunter, Kelsey. My bench consists of Walker, Charbonnet, Brian Robinson, J-Mo, Coleman, Booty. Top waiver wire options are Shaheed, Shakir, Mooney, and Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren is available in your league? Brother, pick that thing up. Oh, you know what it is? You can't play. Okay. So considering you don't start tight ends, they basically are the equivalent of a receiver, to which I'd still say we might want to pick that up. But it says any lineup suggestions following any roster moves to make. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, honestly, I'd rather have Tyler Warren than Kelsey on roster, legitimately. But that's besides the point. As of this week, it's okay to have it as such. In your position, I'm dropping Kayshon Boutte, and I'm immediately picking up Tyler Warren for the rest of the season. And then we'll figure it out from there. As of right now, you can keep the lineup as is because it looks about correct. Because those are the 2 running backs, and these are the 3 best receivers. I'm okay with, yeah, that's fine. That's the only swap that I make, though. Thank you. All right, continuing on. Really quickly, before we do continue on, a quick reminder. For those of you who are joining us this morning, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well. If you guys haven't yet already and you can, do me a favor, click the like button down below. It continues to help support the channel and continues to help me provide live streams every single Sunday morning for the remainder of the season. Of course, we're trying to get one step closer to achieving our goal of 100,000 subscribers, so of course that'll get us there. I appreciate all the support. Again, the rankings on screen to the right side, like you can see here, are updated as of this morning for all those interpositional rankings. So again, if you are in question of who am I playing at running back or who am I playing at wide receiver, hopefully these rankings can help. In the event in which you are looking for all-encompassing rankings, like I've mentioned in the past, jeez Louise, almost lifted the entire mic. The Patreon right here is available. Again, more information down below. Rankings have been posted as of this morning. And for those of you who have signed up via the Betr sign up over the course of this off season and or regular season thus far, again, do not forget, those rankings have also been sent out. Be sure to check your spam folder as my emails were sent out earlier this morning around 2 a.m. Thank you very much. Okay. Jeez, man, I lifted the mic almost off the table. All right, we continue with a question that comes in from Justin McMillan, who says, in a PPR, RJ Harvey or Trey Benson at the Panthers? Yeah, so I thought about this. I'm going to go with, you know, it's funny. We talked about this quite literally yesterday. I'm going RJ Harvey. PPR, I'll take that direction. Even with Trey Benson at the Panthers. JJ over Dak. Yes, I'll play McCarthy over Dak. Thank you. Logan Semple sends in a question. Logan, hope you're doing well. Says, who do we pick between RJ Harvey, Keon Coleman, and Arun Dunze in a standard scoring league? Wow, okay. Standard scoring, I could be convinced to play Keon Coleman there, but I'm going to lean towards Rome Odunze. Says, good to see you for another season. Let's get the likes up. Thank you very much, Logan. I appreciate that. Justin McMillan says, sorry, I meant JJ over Baker this week. Yes, I would still play JJ over Baker this week. Appreciate it, Justin. Logan Kelly sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR league, I can't decide between my wide receiver 2, both flex positions, between Sutton, Higgins, Javonte, James Conner, and Pollard. I don't blame you. You got a lot of really good players in this grouping. So if we're theoretically starting 3 total players, 1 wide receiver and 2 flex, of the available options, T. Higgins is my wide receiver. And then I am subsequently playing Sutton alongside of James Conner. Thank you. Andrew Gang sends in a question. Says, in a half PPR, Christian McCaffrey owner got offered Bill and Brian Robinson for my Travion Henderson. Okay. My running backs are CMC, K9, and Travion Henderson. Okay. So I take it. I think in terms of value for the future, with Austin Eckler out of the picture, I think JCM, Bill, has a lot of value within that offense. So with him pretty much taking the vast majority of the workload share going forward, I don't expect Jeremy McNichols to get involved very much. I think Bill is a great option, and then you're ensuring CMC. So if anything happens, long term, yeah, I think I make the deal. I think in terms of all things, it's positive for your team. In the event in which you didn't want to take the deal, that's fine. You just wait for that manager to drop Brian Robinson, because eventually they will. That's why they want to offload it off their team, because they don't want to roster it anymore. So you could play the waiting game, but I don't mind just investing and taking the return. Keith Tapp sends in a question. Says, PPR double flex, pick one between Odunze, Tillman, Booty, and Johnston. Give me Rome Odunze. Oh, yeah, if we're playing one. Yeah, thank you. Junk Buster says, Egbuka or Metcalf? I'll take Metcalf. Kenneth Walker or Jordan Mason? I'll take Kenneth Walker. Thank you. El Pollo 33 says PPR with Mac under center, Pearsall, Devontae Smith, Tetaroa. Give me Devontae Smith, PPR. Thank you. Coin Flip says PPR, drop Ollie Gordon, Pacheco, or Pitts for Judkins. Drop Ollie Gordon. Thank you. Q Verks sends in a question. Says in a half PPR, flex DJ Moore, David Montgomery. I believe I have Montgomery ranked higher. Let me just confirm this real quick. Never mind, I do not. I have DJ Moore ranked higher in a half PPR. Thank you very much. I could justify playing Montgomery there. He has to fall into the end zone, though. So I'll just take DJ. Thank you. Ibrahim says, thoughts on Knicks over Caleb in a Ben Johnson revenge game? What's my thoughts over Knicks over Caleb? I mean, look, here's the thing about Caleb Williams, excuse me. Caleb Johnson. Who the heck? Oh, Caleb Johnson's the running back for Pittsburgh. I was like, what am I talking about? Here's the thing. I think Bo Nix's performance in week 1 pretty much kind of undervalues his potential. It's not a matter of like Caleb Williams is not going to play well. He's going to play well. That's why I have him ranked in the top 10. It's that Bo Nix is a lot better than what he demonstrated last week. So that's really what my train of thought is at. On top of the fact that 2 of the secondary members of the Colts are out, kind of helps a little bit. But if you wanted to play Caleb again, they're back-to-back ranked. They are quite literally in the same tier. So the separation of value is a half of fantasy points between the 2 of them, which half a fantasy point is what, like 15 passing yards? All right, let's hear. Grind Don't Stop 007 says Fields or Murray. I'd rather play Fields there by a significant margin. Half PPR Pickens or K9? I'd rather play K9. Thank you. Hive sends in a follow-up question. Says full PPR DK or Jacoby Myers? I'd rather play Jacoby Myers. False Prophet sends in a question. Says Jacoby Myers, DJ Moore, or Travion Henderson. Of those available, give me Myers. Thank you. Science on the right sends in a question. Says, hi, Andrew. In a 10-team full PPR, for the flex, given KC wide receiver issues, should I start Hollywood Brown, Quentin Johnson, or DJ Moore? I would much rather play Hollywood Brown over the alternatives. Hollywood Brown's my suggestion. Thank you. Jaded TY sends in a question. Says PPR flex, Javonte, Montgomery, Devontae Smith, Keenan Allen, Jalen Warren. No better game day live stream than this. Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Jaded. Greatly appreciate the kind words. Of the available options you have, it's Devontae Smith. Again, I mentioned it before, guys. Devontae Smith, in the absence of Dallas Goedert, is a completely different machine. Please fire up Devontae Smith if you have the opportunity to do so. Again, in comparison to where I had him ranked on the wide receiver rankings episode, he has moved. Hold up. Let's resettle this. I'm going to reset it real quick. He's moved up such a significant margin because of the absence of Goddard. Like in a half PPR, he's averaging over 14 fantasy points per game in the last 16 without Goddard. On top of the fact that he's averaging, like, what is it? I think it was 13 points per game against Kansas City. So I think it justifies the idea of Devontae Smith sitting all the way up there at 20 in comparison to where he was earlier this week, which was like 30. Thank you. All right, continuing on, we had a question that came in from Will J, who says, Pitts or Andrews? I'd rather play Mark Andrews this week, especially with Mooney returning. Swift or Sampson? I'd rather play Swift. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Chalateco09 says, in a full PPR, do I start Tracy or Henderson? I believe I have, let me see, where do I have Hendo comparatively? I have Hendo one spot ahead of Tracy this week in a full PPR. Give me Hendo. Thank you. Mark sends in a question. Mark, where? Okay, let me see if you have anything live or kind of posted in live chat. All right, Mark says pick 2, Kamara, Brees, ETN. Give me Kamara and Brees. Those are the 2 that I would play this week. Thank you. Again, in the case of ETN, I mean, they're all so incredibly closely ranked. Like you can see on screen where I have Kamara, ETN, and Brees Hall like within, I mean, legitimately, they're all within 5 ranks. But ETN would be the odd man out in this circumstance. Thank you. Continuing on, we had a question that came in from Jerry Garcia. Jerry, thank you very much, sir. It says full PPR, add Kenneth Gainwell and drop Jawan Jennings or Brian Robinson Jr. Running backs, my running back is bad with Aaron Jones, James Conner, Ramondre Stevenson. Wide receiver is decent. Yeah, if you're going to make a move of this caliber, I think the drop ends up being Jawan Jennings. I don't think I'm dropping Brian Robinson. I'd like to have the lottery ticket just in case for the future because of that running back depth that you're currently dealing with. Thank you. Chris Moraga sends in a question. Chris, hope you're doing well, man. Long time no see. Says in a half PPR, wide receiver and a flex, Olave, Diggs, Jordan Mason. In a half PPR, give me Olave, and then let me see where I have Diggs comparatively. As it currently stands, I have Jordan Mason ranked higher. So I would go Olave and Jordan Mason. Thank you. All right, we continue on with Jada TY, who says, flex, Pearsall or Montgomery? PPR, I will play Pearsall there in that circumstance. Thank you. Alex sends in a question, says, half PPR spot, flex spot, excuse me. Tyron Tracy, DK Metcalf, or Keon Coleman? Give me DK Metcalf there. Thank you. Also, Tyden Hawkinson or Juwan Johnson? I will, if I'm not mistaken, let me see where I have him ranked comparatively. I have Juwan Johnson one spot ahead of Hawkinson. They're back-to-back ranked in a half. Thank you. Angel sends in a question, says, flex play. Pearsall, Pickens, Tillman, Waddle. Give me Pearsall there. Thank you. Rockout sends in a question, says, one running back between K9, Pacheco, Sampson. Give me Kenneth Walker. Next question, pick Juwan Johnson or Harvey. Two different teams, full PPR. As of right now, in a full PPR, I'd rather play Juwan Johnson in both scenarios. Thank you. Super Dave sends in a question, says, full PPR, flex 2 between Harvey, Gainwell, Downs, and Fannin. Really good question. I end up playing Harvey and Fannin there. Those are the two that I would suggest. Thank you, Super Dave. Okay, we have caught up effectively, slowly but surely. I appreciate y'all guys being patient with that. Over the course of today's live stream, again, trying to answer as many questions as I possibly can. I hope you guys are doing well. We are less than 50 minutes away from the kickoff of week 2. And again, you got to remember, this is a marathon. So between now and then, there's going to be a lot of information. There's going to be a lot of injuries. And hopefully we can set ourselves up for success. Now, again, a reminder for those of you guys who are looking for interpositional rankings. A lot of the rankings on screen can answer some of these questions. You know, somebody was asking, J.J. McCarthy or Baker Mayfield. The quarterback rankings that are on screen can hopefully lead you in the right direction. In the event in which, again, you need even more developed rankings, you can ask away. I'm more than happy to answer. Otherwise, you can get all that via the Patreon and or the Betr sign up. Thank you. Somebody was asking McMillan or Igbuka. I'd rather play McMillan there. Science, thank you. Appreciate it. Flex Devontae Smith or Jacoby Myers. I have, if I'm not mistaken, Devontae Smith is one spot ahead of Myers right there, 20 instead of 21. So I'll go with Devontae Smith this week. Thanks, man. Spartan Warrior sends in a question. Thank you, Spartan. Mr. Leonidas says PPR, Daniels, Fields, JT Kamara, Charbonnet, Bill, Chase Adams, Tet, Myers, Hunter, McBride. What a team, huh? Any trade moves? Yeah, I mean, at this point, if I was in your position, I am trying to trade away Daniels and or Fields. Preferably try to get rid of Fields. Obviously, you have really good running backs in terms of Kamara, JT, and Charbonnet, Bill. You already have really good receivers with Chase, Adams, Tet. But if I would potentially make a suggestion, I am looking to try to find a team that has a solid wide receiver core, specifically a top-tier wide receiver, and doesn't have much quarterback help, to which I would take someone like Tet McMillan and Fields, and I would try to go take a top-tier receiver off of their team. That is my primary suggestion as to how I would go about the future of this league, considering the full PPR format. Thank you. So again, pretty much try to utilize Fields as trade leverage going forward. All right, let's see here. Just continuing on, let me see if there's any new reports that have been released. All right, so in terms of actives and non-actives, Mason Taylor's active, Jalen Wright is inactive, Jawan Jennings going to play, Trent Williams going to play. These are positive signs. Wanda Robinson's going to play. All right, good. Everything is looking like it was expected to look, which is really, really solid. Okay, continuing on. We had a question from Shivam Patel, who says, trade ETN plus Trevor Lawrence plus Braylon Allen for Joe Burrow and RJ Harvey. As of right now, my answer is, oh, wow. Okay, interesting question. Look, obviously I prefer Joe Burrow, but the separation between ETN and Harvey is so substantial that I don't make that move yet. If I'm going to trade away Travis Etienne, if I'm going to trade away Travis Etienne, I'd like to get a better running back or piece in general in exchange. So no, I wouldn't make the trade as of right now. James Malfatti sends in a question. Thank you, James. Hope you're doing well, sir. Says, hey, buddy. My tight end question is, in a half PPR, I have Fannin and I have Loveland, but Strange is available. Should I grab him and start? No, I would keep it as is. This is my thought process when you have when you have two tight ends that you're specifically investing in for the future. We don't want to drop either of the two. We want to keep Loveland because we believe that in the long term of the season, he is going to be of value. And we also want to invest in Fannin because we believe the same thing. So in this circumstance, considering you would have to drop one of the two in order to play Strange, I think Strange is just a solid weekly streaming option this week. I'm not saying that he can't be a startable option weekly, but in this circumstance, compared to what you have on roster, I think it's in your best interest to keep what you have, start Fannin, hold Loveland, and continue on. And if neither of the two can be efficient enough options for fantasy purposes, then we can look to the waiver wire. But for right now, keep them both. Start fanning this week, James. Thank you. Justin McMillan sends in a question. Says full PPR Shakir, Tillman, or Charbonnet. Let me see where I have Shakir comparatively to Sharbs, and then I'll let you know. In a full PPR, I have Shakir ranked higher than the bunch. So Shakir is my suggestion there, Justin McMillan. Thanks, man. Alrighty, we continue on. Okay, so this person needs to be banned. Good night. All right, continuing on. We had a question that came in from Alejandro Perez. Alejandro, thanks, man. Let me see if I can find your question in the live chat. Hopefully it's typed in there and maybe wasn't attached. Alejandro Perez says flex. Keenan Allen. I think that's Jalen Warren, yeah, and Calvin Ridley. Okay, of those available options in a full PPR, let me see where I have Warren compared to Allen, and I will let you know. Okay, so as it stands, I have Jalen Warren ranked higher. So Jalen Warren will be number 1. Keenan Allen will be number 2. Calvin Ridley will be number 3. Alejandro Perez. Thank you. Appreciate it, man. Continuing on, we had a question that came in from A. Chavez, who says, in a half PPR flex, RJ Harvey, Calvin Austin, now that Devin Witherspoon and Eman Wari, what the heck is that? Are out for the, yeah, if we're talking about the injury report for the Seahawks, Eman Wari, Nick Eman Wari, yeah, we already know he's out. Devin Witherspoon was already doubtful, which is very positive. I think, again, that all primarily, I believe it supports the potential of the tight ends and DK. But in the case of Calvin Austin, let me look at where I have him ranked in comparison to Harvey in a half PPR, and then we can just go from there. I already knew that both of them were going to primarily be out because, at least within my rankings that I kind of release here, I have that up to date. As it stands, in a half PPR, I still have... If you wanted to play Calvin Austin, you can. I have Harvey ranked higher. The thing about Calvin Austin is that in the absence of a touchdown, is he even still worth the play? Right? That's the question, to which I would say he's not. I'd rather just go with the risk of what Harvey can present and the potential upside, theoretically. Babs sends in a question. Thank you, Babs. Says half PPR flex 2, Mooney, Pacheco, Booty, Fannin. Of those available in a half PPR, it's really just a question of where do we have Pacheco comparatively to the group. Okay. And then where do I have Fannin there? Fannin is ranked lower. Okay. So it's Mooney, Pacheco, or Booty. And as of right now, I have Mooney 1, Pacheco 2, Keyshawn Booty 3, Fannin 4. Thank you. TOTVTG sends in a question. It says PPR Samson or Olave. I'd rather play Olave there. Follow-up question. It says I have Jawan Jennings. Okay, so it's more like I have Jawan at tight end. Yeah, I mean, at this point, let's fire up both Saints. Let's go for it. WWE Fanatic 714 sends in a question. Says Drake London or Garrett Wilson standard. Give me Drake London. Thank you. Alejandro Perez sends in a follow-up question. Says, oh, okay, this was the same question. Yeah. So if this is the case, Jalen Warren 1, Keenan Allen 2, Calvin Ridley 3. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, really quickly, let me just take care of this. We had KB who sent in a question. KB said Kyler or Bo. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, on screen, I have Kyler Murray as my number 7. Bo is ranked below him, so I'll take Kyler Murray against the Carolina Panthers. And then additionally, you have Buka versus Ridley. Or Ricky. I'd rather play Ricky Pearsall. Thank you. Eugene Leon sends in a question. Thank you, Eugene. Appreciate it. Says PPR drop 1. We have Kraft, Fannin, Ingram. I'm dropping Ingram. Thank you. Leo sends in a question. Says full PPR pick 2 between Javonte, Etienne, Keenan Allen. Give me both running backs. I'll take Javonte and Etienne. Thank you. Levi sends in a question. Says Mason or Walker. Jordan Mason or Kenneth Walker, half PPR. As it currently stands, I have Jordan Mason ranked higher than Kenneth Walker by 1 spot in a half PPR, as represented on the screen. Thank you. Flawless sends in a question. Says Ridley or Ricky. Give me Ricky. Thank you. Even with Jawan Jennings playing, it doesn't matter. With Kittle out, there's just a lot of opportunity to be had. Thank you. Hank Hennig sends in a question. Hank, hope you're doing well, my man. Says, don't like rostering 2 defenses, but what do you think of keeping both Baltimore and San Francisco for the future? Also, would you pick up a Likely or Spears or Tesla to stash in a 12-team full PPR? It depends on what your tight end depth looks like. If you are currently in a position in which you're like, you know what? I need to see if I can potentially get a breakout tight end. because the current one that I'm dealing with is not, I don't have a top 5 player at the position. I don't have McBride, Bowers, Laporta, Warren, Kelsey. If I don't have one of those kind of options, then sure, I don't mind picking up Likely there. If you're in the opposite end, in which you already have a top tier option in that circumstance, and you're like, you know what, RB depth wouldn't hurt, then you pick up Spears. Now, in the case of rostering 2 defenses, when I look at the upcoming schedules for these teams, I think that kind of dictates where we're going. To which I was mentioning earlier, Baltimore, after this week, has Detroit, Kansas City, Houston, LA Rams, and then they have a couple easy matchups after that. So the next couple weeks here, it's not the easiest, it's not a cakewalk for them. As for the 49ers schedule, 49ers have the easiest schedule of all teams this season. And their upcoming games consist of the New Orleans Saints, Cardinals, Jacksonville Jaguars, Rams, Bucks, Falcons, Giants, Cardinals, Panthers, Titans. Like 49ers, Ravens, I could understand the logic of just like set it and forget it with the Baltimore Ravens, but I don't know if their matchups really convince me of that. I probably end up just rolling them this week and then dropping them next and just rolling with San Fran in the future. Thank you. All right, Gucci Han, Louis Han sent in a question. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Says, my guy, in a full PPR, who do I flex? Tyrone Tracy or Pitts? Give me Tyrone Tracy there. Thank you. All right, Brett Wood sends in a question. Says, in a 4-point per touchdown league, do I drop Bryce Young for CJ Stroud? Yes, I would. Thank you. WWE Fanatic sends in a follow-up. Says, Mark Andrews or Juwan Johnson in full PPR? I would rather play Juwan Johnson. Thank you. Appreciate it. We move on to Spartan Warrior, who had a follow-up. Says, start 2 in a PPR. Adams, Tet, Myers, Hunter. Of those available, I believe I have Myers. And let me see who's the next highest receiver. It would go Myers and Tedero and McMillan are my 2 highest ranked of the bunch. Thank you. Josh Alvarez sends in a question. Thank you, Josh. Let me see if I can find your question in the live chat here, Josh. I appreciate it. That's not the right chat I need to look at. I need to look at this one. Josh Alvarez. Josh, you're going to have to retype in your question. It wasn't attached originally. Thanks, man. Troy Ocean sends in a question. Troy says, trade Charbonnet and Walker for Nico Collins. Only have CB and Bucky. Honestly, I would do it. I would. I think it's worth it. In the future, potentially trading for, I would do it legitimately. I think it's highly risky, but I think the reward of getting Nico Collins in exchange, buying low on it right now, is a good option. Keelan Simpkins sends in a question. It says PPR flex Dobbins or Devontae Smith. I would rather play Devontae Smith. Thank you. Alrighty, we took care of that. Let's see if Josh Alvarez was in the chat somewhere. Okay, you sent in a follow-up. Says, Lost Kittles, do I start Fannin or Juwan Johnson? I would start Fannin, but I would start Juwan Johnson, but keep Fannin on roster. And flex Mooney or Chubb in a full PPR. As it currently stands in a full PPR, I technically do have Nick Chubb ranked higher, because I kind of want to wait and see what Mooney can do. I'll take Nick Chubb there. Nick Chubb and Juwan Johnson is my suggestions. Now, I do have Mooney in the same tier as Nick Chubb. There are only 4 ranks separating the two, but yeah, I'll give it a week's kind of rest to see what I can get out of him before I start fully firing him up at the capacity. Okay, Gucci Han, Louis Han sent in a follow-up. Says, am I crazy for starting Pickens over Keon Coleman? No, you're not crazy. Again, as of right now, I have Pickens in like a half PPR, theoretically speaking, as my number 37 wide receiver. So he's only 2 spots behind Keon Coleman there. Thank you. All right, we continue on with a question that comes in from, let me just make sure I didn't skip any questions. Beautiful. We continue on with a question that comes in from David Morgan, who says, PPR, I need 1 flex between Pickens, Ridley, Tracy, Dobbins, and Adunze. Of those available in a full PPR, I believe, let me see where I have Tyrone Tracy comparatively to the rest. Okay. As of right now, full PPR, I have Rome Odunze. Rome Odunze is the answer. That's where I go with. I go Rome 1, Tracy 2, Dobbins 3, Ridley 4, Pickens 5. Thank you, David. Billy Jack sends in a follow-up. Says start 3, Ladd, Flowers, Allen, or Moore. Ladd, Flowers, and DJ Moore. Thank you. Decrypt sends in a question. Says half PPR. Pick 2. Adams, McMillan, Pearsall. Adams and McMillan. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Naeem sends in a question. Says Jordan Mason or Adunze in a PPR. Give me Adunze there. Thank you. Carlos Z sends in a question. Says, half PPR. I need flex. Pearsall, Kenneth Walker, Tet McMillan. Tedero McMillan's my suggestion. Thank you. Jerry Mendoza sends in a question. Thank you, Jerry. I appreciate it. Says full PPR. Start Caleb or Jared Goff? I'd rather play Caleb Williams. Thank you. Harley Ryder sends in a question. Says full PPR. Flex 1. Ridley, Diggs, Montgomery, Keenan Allen, Booty. Of those available, Keenan Allen's my starter. Nick sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, start 3 wide receivers. Would you trade ETN for Rome Odunze and Judkins? My running backs are Gibbs, HN, JT, ETN. No, I wouldn't make that trade. I think I would want to get more out of ETN than just Rome Odunze. Judkins is still a project player in the future, and honestly, he's not going to ever start over Gibbs, HN, or JT on your team. He would only ever be played in the case of an injury and or in the case of a bye week. But even then, I would have it hard pressed in which he would ever play for your team. So, in terms of the value which you are getting in return for ETN, I don't think it's worth it. Especially after that Bigsby trade and that week 1 performance, I think you should be aiming for a lot higher than just Rome. Thank you. Specifically, if I was going to make a suggestion as to who to go after, like I'm trying to, of course, buy low on candidates with the sell high approach of an ETN. So in the event in which we see a lackluster performance this week from, theoretically speaking, AJ Brown again, we're going after him. Mike Evans again, we're going after him. If DK Metcalf doesn't have an explosive performance, I'd even be willing to go in that direction. But if you're trying to even go with a higher upside player and try to buy low on a BTJ, T. Higgins, Drake London, I mean, you could theoretically explore that options, but you'd have to add something on top of ETN. You'd have to add Hunter or Buka and then go for one of those top tier options like a BTJ, theoretically speaking. Thank you. All righty, we continue on with the question that comes in from Tequila, I guess technically, but spelled differently. 2309 says, full PPR, flex, Travis Etienne or Tyreek Hill. As of right now, I have Tyreek Hill ranked higher, and that's the direction I'd go in. Thank you. Alejandro Perez sends in a follow-up, says, I have Breece Hall, Kamara, was that A.T. Brown? I think you meant A.J. Brown, probably, just off keyboard. A.J. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kelsey. Trade offer for James Conner for Kelsey. Should I accept? I have Juwan Johnson as my tight end on the bench, and quarterback is Mahomes. So technically, you would have James Conner, and you can start him weekly for the remainder of the season, and you would basically just be punting on tight end. I mean, yes, you know what? I would take the deal. Give me James Conner rest of the season. Thank you. Josh Alvarez says Judkins is available, worth stashing. He's certainly worth stashing, but it just depends on what you're dropping in exchange for him. That's really just ever the question in this circumstance. So, yeah, I don't mind stashing him at all. He's going to play about 10 to 15 snaps today, and maybe even less depending on how this kind of format goes of them being 12.5-point underdogs away in Baltimore Ravens, home opener. So, for right now, definitely worth the stash for future weeks, but not just we're definitely not playing him this week. Julian says Pearsall or Pollard in a full PPR. In a full PPR, I technically have Pollard ranked higher by 2 spots exactly. Okay, we have, I'm going to assume this is Dragon07 or DRGN07, who says the following. Says full PPR, ETN or Chuba. I'd rather play Chuba Hubbard. I have Kamara as my other running back slot, and wide receivers are JJ, DK, and T-Mac in the flex. Okay. So as of right now, between Tedero and McMillan, and the potential of playing ETN in the full PPR capacity, I would actually prefer to play ETN there. So I would tell you to play Chuba, Kamara, ETN, DK, and JJ. Thank you. Moving on to a question that comes in from Jimmy Podgorski. Sorry. It says full PPR. Start 2 between Ricky, Hendy, Hunter, Rome. Yeah, give me Ricky and Hendy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Kelso sends in a question. Says, I got offered Nico Collins and Hampton for my Buka and Genti. Interesting. Okay. I'll take it. Give me the Nico Collins and Hampton side. I don't really have to think about it for that long. Good to go. Thank you. All right. We continue on with a question that comes in from Nico33, who says, flex Chubb or Olave? I'd rather have Olave in a full PPR. Thank you. Felix Rodriguez says, Tet, Ladd, Javonte Williams start 2. Currently, I have Javonte and Ladd McConkey ranked higher, whether it's half or full PPR. Emerson sends in a question. Says, Harold Fannin or Evan Ingram? I'd rather play Harold Fannin. Thank you. Yeet sends in a question. Says, full PPR, Henry or Andrews? I'd rather play Hunter Henry. Thank you. Kamikaze in the chat was saying, what are we doing with Blue? We're dropping him until they want to start him in any capacity going into the future. Alrighty, let's see here. Good to go there. Good to go there. All right, nice. All right, we continue on with Nick, who sends in a question. Says, starting St. Brown and BTJ as my wide receivers, should I flex Garrett Wilson, Marvin Harrison, Mike Evans, or Egbuka? Garrett Wilson's my suggestion there as your flex. Also, Bates, Little, Fairbairn at kicker. I think Fairbairn is a set it and forget it kind of kicker rest of season. So if I was in your position, I'm keeping Fairbairn outright. Fairbairn over the course of each of the last 2 seasons of fantasy football has been the number 2 kicker in terms of fantasy points per game. And again, considering the Houston Texans aren't the greatest offense and they often do struggle because they just don't have the weapons that they require, it just leads to more and more field goals. And Fairbairn, again, I even mentioned this whether it was last week or whether it's in the offseason on a live stream. I know I've said this before. When it comes to Fairbairn, last season, he was one of the best 50-plus yard kickers in the league. So if you're playing in a league in which you're getting 5 points per 50-yard field goal, if I'm not mistaken, he was 13 of 16 last year on 50-yard plus field goals. When you're that, and that was the most field goals he had. He had more attempts from 50 and beyond than he did at 40 or 30 or 20. So whenever you're given that opportunity to continue to make 5 points at a time, in a matchup against in a matchup against Tampa Bay at home, no weather concerns, I think that's the play. Okay, where are we at? We took care of the Nick question. I appreciate that. We had Flotation says Andrews or Henry this week, tight end premium. Or sorry, tight end PPR. Oh, if you're playing in a PPR Flotation, you play with Hunter Henry there. Yeah, Hunter Henry's the suggestion. Hunter Henry right now, my number 6 in comparison to Mark Andrews is my number 9 in a full PPR circumstance. Thank you. All right, let's see here. What do we get in terms of reports? Nothing crazy there. Garofolo says AJ Brown will see more targets early. Yeah, I mean, who would have guessed? Quinshon Judkins will start at running back. Okay, starting at running back doesn't really mean much because, again, it's not like he's going to be able to run the ball for majority of the game. So I'm still expecting a 3-headed monster in that backfield. Okay, what is this? That needs to be banned. Get the heck out of here. Thank you very much. Okay, continuing on. Jay Smalls, what's up, man? Says half PPR, Swift or Dobbins. If I'm not mistaken, let me check my rankings that are currently as such. I have DeAndre Swift ranked higher. Thank you. Bowers or Jawan Jennings. So here's the thing. Again, I got to reiterate this just so we're all on the same page. If you have Brock... wow. I'm slowly but surely losing my voice here. Luckily, we are 25 minutes away from the start of the game. Wow. Am I really losing my voice? I just need water. Anyway, Bowers or Jawan Jennings. Let me just make this evidently clear. If you have Bowers on roster, you should try to play him tomorrow. So what does that require? If that requires that you pick up Mayer in order to accomplish that, got to lean in that direction for sure. Any player picks, says Caleb? Yeah. Caleb, give me a second. Let me open up the tab here. And then I'll throw it up on screen real quick and we'll just go over them just really quickly. Just so for those of you who are interested, again, like I've mentioned before, if you guys are trying to get those Sunday morning rankings from weeks 3 through 18, again, for the remainder of the season, all you have to do is sign up using code Andrew via Betr. Again, new users get a free $10, but if you sign up using code Andrew, make that first time deposit minimum of 10 and then make a first time play within a real cash play, you'll of course be eligible to first and foremost be able to get those rankings every Sunday, but of course, potentially follow these following plays. These are the players that I like. Derrick Henry touchdown, T. Higgins touchdown, Smith and Jigba receptions, Achane receptions, Ricky Pearsall receptions, Bretton Strange receptions, Devontae Smith fantasy points. This is my biggest play of the week. It's just a straight, I'm going for trying to basically double my money. I'm going for Sutton, more than 3.5 receptions, and Achane more than 12.5 or 2.5 receptions. Achane has accomplished this in 12 consecutive games with Tua starting, and Sutton has accomplished that in 11 of the last 12 games. So I'm leaning in that direction. Didn't get the rankings emailed to me, then check your spam folder. Thank you. If it is still not in your spam folder, then do me a favor, travel down to the description of the video. There is an email there that is corresponding to mine. You can shoot me an email, and from there, I can figure out exactly what went wrong. Because there's a possibility that when you did the sign up, you didn't do it fully correct, or there's a possibility in which you signed up via Betr. The email that you provided to them is the wrong email, and I've been sending an email to the wrong email account, So let's go ahead and shoot me an email there, and I can help you out. Thank you. Or, of course, check the spam folder. Dilo, what's up, my man? You have any bold predictions for us today, my man? All right, let's continue on with some of these questions sent in the supers. We had one that came in from Chan Dimitri. Do you have a question that is attached here, Chan? Chan Dimitri says, in a full PPR, Drake May or Bo Nix? I'd rather play Bo Nix. Follow-up, Juwan Johnson or Strange? Give me Juwan Johnson. Can you rank the following players in the flex? Pollard, Sutton, Ricky, T-Mac, Egbuka. Okay. In a full PPR, the order would be as such. Sutton number 1, T-Mac 2, Pollard 3, Ricky Pearsall 4, and Egbuka 5. Thank you. Continuing on after Chan Dimitri's question, we had the following question from Senior Kickoff, who says, ETN or Metcalf? I'd rather play ETN. Thank you, in a full PPR. We move on to Rockout. What's up, Rockout? Says, I think you missed my question. All right, let me see if I can find it. Did you send in something earlier today, like via Super? Is that what you're referring to? Let me see. Okay, so you had asked this question. Yeah, so I did answer it. I will more than happily answer it again. I would suggest playing Kenneth Walker alongside of Juwan Johnson there. That's my 2 suggestions. Thank you. So Kenneth Walker for the first question, Juwan Johnson for the second question. Thanks, man. All right, continuing with the next question from Will Patel, who says, Bowers, Henry, pick up Mayer or start Henry? I would pick up Mayer, and I would push it to tomorrow. Felix Rodriguez says, trade Kyron for James Cook. I'd rather have Kyron rest of the season. Thank you. All right, we move on to the next question that comes in from Spencer P, who says, I need 2 in a PPR. J.K. Dobbins, Walker, Aaron Jones, Sampson. Of those available, in a full PPR, give me both Walker and Aaron Jones. Thank you. I believe that's the case. Let me see. Where do I have Dobbins comparatively to Walker? Yeah, that is the case. Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker. Thank you. J-Rod sends in a question. Says, 12-man full PPR. I need a flex between Booty, Fannin, Io Manor, and Benson. As of right now, in a full PPR scoring format, I do have Kayshon Boutte ranked the highest of the group. That would be my suggestion. Thank you. Greg19 says, in a full PPR, RJ Harvey or Kayshon Boutte? As of right now, let me check my rankings. In a full PPR, RJ Harvey or Kayshon Boutte? Where's Boutte? I have Kayshon Boutte ranked higher in a full PPR. That's the direction I go in. Thank you. One of one sends in a question. Says, Ridley, Mason, Sampson, Pickens. Start 1. Okay, in a half PPR, I believe it's going to be Mason, but let me confirm this. Jordan Mason. Okay, so when we're comparing him to Ridley, he's 1 spot ahead of Ridley in my rankings, and they are 3 spots ahead of Pickens and then Sampson. Yeah, so Jordan Mason's my number 1, Ridley's 2, Pickens 3, Sampson 4. Thank you, one of one. Appreciate it. But again, Ridley and Mason quite literally back-to-back, 65, 66, same tier. Mason's my suggestion. Greg19 sent in a follow-up. Says, full PPR, David Njoku, RJ Harvey, or Kayshon Boutte. Okay. I think that also adds an extra level of depth in that scenario, to which, in that situation, I still have Kayshon Boutte ranked the highest of the group. Thank you. Oscar Rivera, thank you very much. Says, full PPR, do I start Jacoby Myers or DK Metcalf? In a full PPR, I would suggest playing Jacoby Myers. I need upside because my opponent had Kraft. Yeah, Myers, I think, is just too valuable to pass up on right now. Thank you. Demond Smith sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. Says, who wins this trade? Achane, Kyron, Egbuka, Olave, Ollie Gordon for Hampton, Puka, Montgomery, Nix, and Swift. Okay, in a vacuum, looking at the value of these players, I would rather have Achane, Kyron in comparison to Puka and Hampton. Then additionally, I would rather have Egbuka and Olave. Well, look, okay, so here's the thing. It depends on what the rest of your team looks like. I'm going to say in a vacuum, I'd rather have the Achane side. in a vacuum. Now, when I say in a vacuum, I mean like with no context as to what the rest of the team looks like. Because when you have a trade in which Bo Nix is being moved, it depends on whether that becomes your starter or if you're moving that away because you have someone else to fill in your starting QB spot like Justin Fields. I think that becomes also an extra level of depth within the question. But in a vacuum, give me the A-Chan side rest of season. We move on to a question that comes from We Buy Homes, who says in a non-PPR flex, Diggs, Egbuka, Aaron Jones, or Jordan Mason. In a non-PPR format, I'm leaning towards the idea of it probably being Jordan Mason or Egbuka. I probably end up going with Jordan Mason there. Chris, V, NYC. Chris, long time no see, man. What's up? Says, what's up, bro? In a half PPR, Montgomery or Pearsall? That's a great question. Let's see where I have Pearsall comparatively. I will go with Ricky Pearsall there. Thank you, man. Ivan Sand sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR 1.5 tight end premium, I need 2 flex options and a tight end between Montgomery, Hollywood, Henderson, Mason, Juwan Jennings, Pitts, Hunter, Charbonnet, Fannin, Hunter. Okay. Let's see here. So, of the available options, I think in a tight end premium format, I'm playing Juwan Johnson as my tight end for sure. I'm playing Hollywood Brown as one of my flex options. Then the question is, am I playing Hunter Henry or am I playing Henderson as my other flex option? To which I'm saying I'm playing Hunter Henry. So give me Hollywood, Juwan, and Hunter Henry. Thank you. To the Max sends in a question. Says, in an 18 full PPR league, would you drop Njoku for Hunter Henry for rest of season? I wouldn't just yet, no. It says, or shoulder, or that's not shoulder, it's supposed to be, should I stash Njoku and make room for the bench if I could? Thanks. Yeah, as of right now, Hunter Henry versus Njoku, if you could have both on roster, that would be vital. I would say I would like to give Njoku another spin at it just in case. But in this case, as of right now, Hunter Henry should start this week. That's first and foremost. Let's see what Njoku can provide. In the event in which, again, Hunter Henry puts together a solid performance and Njoku is overshadowed by Harold Fannin, then at that point we can move on. Christian Taylor sends in a question, says, please rank in a PPR Jacoby, DK, James Conner, and Pollard. Cool. Of those available options in a full PPR scoring format, I currently have it as follows. Number 1 is James Conner. Number 2 is Jacoby Myers. Number 3 is DK Metcalf. Number 4 is Tony Pollard. Thank you. We had Chris Rosado, who says, start 2.5 PPR. Pacheco, Jamison Williams, Tillman. Give me both of the receivers. Give me Jamison Williams and Cedric Tillman. Thank you. Dilo says, have a good Sunday, my guy. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Nice to see you. SPJL sends in a question. Let's see what you have here, brother. SPJL says, pick 3 in a full PPR. Egbuka, Pickens, Jamo, Adams, Keon Coleman. Okay, of those available options, Egbuka, Adams, and probably, it's a full PPR, correct? Let me check here. Yeah, as it currently stands, in a full PPR, I would go Egbuka, Adams, and Coleman. Then within the flex position, I am playing Brenton Strange there. Thank you. If you wanted to just roll with Fannin, I don't mind it. They're back-to-back. But I would suggest Strange. Chris Rosado said, okay, we took care of that. Appreciate it again. Tony Lopez sent in a question. I'll get to it in just a moment, Tony. Ray says, standard league. Ridley, Waddle, Devontae Smith. Give me Devontae Smith. Thank you. Alex sends in a question. Says, half PPR, Pitts, Ingram, Fannin. Give me Fannin this week. Daniel Barnes says, why did Pearsall drop in your updated rankings? Juwan Jennings is active. And of course, between now and Wednesday's wide receiver video, he is effectively dropped because of the Brock Purdy news being official. But as of right now, still a pretty good play. Okay, Tony Lopez, where are we at here? Tony Lopez says, start one in my super flex spot in a full PPR. Mac Jones, Flacco, Darnold, Russ, or DJ Moore. Let me see who I have ranked the highest of those available quarterbacks. You had Mac Jones, Flacco, Darnold, Russ. Okay. Technically speaking, I have them all ranked in my bottom 6 of quarterbacks. The highest ranked of the bunch being Russell Wilson, then next is Mac Jones, then it's Flacco, then it's Darnold. That's the order in which I would have it. Now the question is, am I playing Russell Wilson over DJ Moore in the Superflex full PPR? I think it's probably safer to do so. So I'm okay playing Russ there. Thank you. Especially with the secondary of the Cowboys a little bit banged up with DeRon Bland missing this week. I'm cool with it. Thank you. We move on to a question that comes in from after Daniel Barnes. I think we took care of that. We're good to go. Okay, cool. We've effectively caught up. We got about 13 minutes left. Ninja Turtle sends in a question. It says Hollywood, Henderson, Mason, start 1/2 PPR. Give me Hollywood Brown. Thank you. John in the chat was saying full PPR Fannin or Strange. I'm okay playing Strange there. But if you wanted to just like, look, here's the thing. The way that I see it, Strange is a 1 week start. That's it. I'm not seeing him as anything more than that. If you're like, hey, Andrew, listen, it's either I keep Fannin or I have to drop him for Strange. I'd rather just keep Fannin for the potential of the future of the season. That's the kind of way that I think about it. RKO sends in a question. Says Pacheco or Ramondre? PPR. I would rather play Pacheco. Demond Smith sends in a follow-up. Says, yes, I'm the H-hand side of the trade. I think I can leave Trevor Lawrence in for the season instead of trading for Knicks. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that. I think there's a lot of inherent risk involved, but I think Trevor Lawrence will be better than he was in week 1 going forward. N8 sends in a question. Says, full PPR flex. Hall, Jacoby, Travion Henderson. Of those 3 in a full PPR, where's Breece Hall comparatively? As of right now, I'm not even joking. This is unironically just how it is broken down. I have Jacoby Myers as my number 35 and Breece as my number 36. They are back-to-back in my full PPR rankings. Jacoby Myers 1 spot physically ahead of him. As for your follow-up question, Henry or Ingram, I'll go with Hunter Henry. Thank you. Pedro's Lucario, what's up, man? Long time no see, Pedro. Hope you're doing well. Says in a standard 8-team league, drop Baker or Love for Knicks or Caleb. I'm okay keeping what you have. I'm okay with it. I mean, again, if you want, let's just wait and see if Knicks and Caleb can produce. Personally, I'd rather have Knicks, but as of right now, I'm assuming you have Baker on roster and Love on roster because you trust them more. So just let the other 2 sit on the waiver because it's an 8-team league and you can wait. And if they can build trust from the waiver position, then you can utilize waiver priority going forward. Follow-up question, do I drop Brian Robinson for Judkins? I would, yes. But you have Christian McCaffrey, which makes it difficult. So at that point, I would probably rather drop one of your 2 quarterbacks in order to pick up Judkins. So like I would right now figure out who am I playing? Am I playing Love or Baker going forward? And in the event in which you're like, all right, well, I've already missed out on playing Love because he played Thursday. Then I drop him and I pick up Judkins. I'm not dropping Brian Robinson. I can't do that. It's too risky. In an 8-team league, again, you can get away with it, but I still wouldn't do it. Reese Thomas sends in a question. Says Charbonnet or Shakir or Samson in a full PPR? Give me Shakir there. Thank you. Daniel Gonzalez sends in a question. Says full PPR. Pick one. Breece Hall, DK, or Keenan Allen. I'll take Breece Hall in a full PPR. Thank you. Anybody starting Tongs? I don't think anybody should. Kincaid or Strange? I'll take Strange there. Full PPR. Henderson or Coleman? Give me Hendo. Can you explain Hollywood over Myers? Yeah, primarily, purely the idea behind it revolves around if I knew for sure whether or not Bowers was available on Monday, that would determine whether or not I play Myers ahead of Hollywood. If Bowers is available, it lessens the opportunity share that theoretically Myers could be exposed to, which again still has him incredibly highly ranked. But as of right now, considering I already know the workload that Hollywood Brown's going to be expected for today, I can't wait till tomorrow to figure that out. Thank you, Alexander Drucker. Long time no see. Hope you're doing well, my man. All right, we had a question that was sent in from AMZG Eric, who says, start Chuba or Genti. Okay, that's a great question. As of right now, in a full PPR, I have Genti as my number 11 and Chuba as my number 14. I'll take Genti there. Follow-up question, Juwan Johnson or Hunter Henry? Honestly, I have them back-to-back ranked. In a full PPR, Henry's 1 spot ahead of Johnson. That's the way I go about it. Thank you. We continue with Watch This, who says the following. Flex 1, PPR, Pacheco, Olave, Strange. Give me Olave. Thank you. Epi, 808 says Devontae Adams or Mike Evans this week. I'll take Mike Evans. Thank you. Why no Stephon Diggs? Stephon Diggs in my half PPR rankings is currently amongst all wide receivers my number... Where is he? I have him as my number 42. So as soon as Jalen Waddle comes off the screen, we go Pickens, Judy, Shakir, Quentin Johnston, Michael Pittman, then it goes to Diggs. Are we worried about Pearsall's production? No. If I was worried about it, I would have changed my rankings, Kevin. We're good to go, brother. Gucci Han Louis Han says, why flex Tracy over Pitts? It's primarily just because of Darnell Mooney's return. If Darnell Mooney wasn't returning, I feel a little bit more comfortable regarding Kyle Pitts. But in this circumstance, I'll just take the guaranteed touches that a running back can provide for me. Herbert or Burrow, 6 point per passing touchdown league. I'll just take Burrow there. Darnell Mooney or Cooper Kupp, Darnell Mooney. Tracy or Henderson, full PPR. I have Hendo ranked higher. Angel was saying what? Start 2 full PPR. What's your question though, Angel? I don't see the rest of your question. DJ Moore or Javonte Williams in a half PPR. Give me Javonte Williams there. Adams or Jameson Williams. I'll take Adams there. Heath Evans says one more time Charbonnet or Montgomery. I have Montgomery ranked higher. Thank you. Herbert or Burrow. Okay, we took care of that one. Flowers or Metcalf. I'd rather play Flowers. Mason or JMO in a half PPR. I'd rather play Mason. Start Kamara, ETN, Pacheco. I'd rather play Kamara and ETN. Pacheco is not worth the start. Anonymous says half PPR. Do I flex Juwan Johnson over Jennings? Yes, I would. PPR Henderson or Tracy? Henderson. Where do you have Pickens? He's my number 37 wide receiver in a half PPR. So he's just off the screen. Right after Waddle. Sutton, DK or more. Start 2. Give me Sutton and DK. Tamir, what's up, man? Says JMO or Mason in a half PPR. If I'm not mistaken, it's Mason. Let me confirm this. I have Jordan Mason 2 spots ahead of Jameson Williams this week. Thank you. Spoon sends in a question. Says Njoku or Strange full PPR. I have Njoku ranked higher. Thank you. JL sends in a question. Says 12-man full PPR. Should I trade Kamara and Ridley for ETN and Tedero and McMillan? I honestly, I don't mind the trade. If you can go and pick up Bayshall Tootin while you're at it, just in case, I probably make them. Yeah, I make the move. Ramen God 22 says real quick, Pearsall or Tet? I'd rather have Tedero and McMillan this week, regardless of half PPR or full PPR or standard. I'd rather have Tedero and McMillan in my lineup. Herberto Lopez says, Heberto Lopez says in a standard, 1 wide receiver, Harrison, McMillan, Ekbuka. Give me McMillan. Thank you. Pedro Lucario says, I had another question. Juwan or Njoku rest of season? For right now, Njoku until further notice. Code 8732 says, Travis Hunter or Hollywood Brown? Hollywood Brown. Matthew Wallace says, happy birthday. Thank you very much, Matthew Wallace. I appreciate that. Heath Evans says, McMillan or Hollywood? Give me Hollywood. Quinn Lenardi says, trade Kyler, Debo, and Chuba to receive Josh Allen. You have to be playing in an incredibly small league of like 6 to 8 teams. If you're playing in an incredibly small league of that fat kind of capacity, sure. Otherwise, no. Kiwi Sports Mage, what's up, Kiwi? Hope you're doing well. Long time no see. Says half PPR Fannin or Odunze. I'd rather play Odunze. Also, do I play Javonte Williams, DJ Moore, or Devontae Adams? I'd rather play Javonte Williams out of the group. Surely I can buy rankings separately. Hook up your biggest New Zealand fan. Can you not check out? Oh yeah, you know what it was? You were mentioning Patreon's a little bit of a pain in the ass, huh? I don't know, man. The thing is, because I'm running a business here, it's like I'm not going to be able to do it as separate. So unless Patreon's an available option, it becomes tough, man. CK Vlogs says PPR James Conner or BTJ. Last minute help. BTJ. Gotta play him. Especially in a full PPR. I think it's just in your best interest to just roll with the second round pick that you made. Because he's your stud, and we're not panicking off of a 1 week's production. We are going to fire him up and let him carry us. Thank you. You know what's funny? I have James Conner and BTJ back-to-back ranked in my rankings right now. So, honestly, you could go either way. In fact, I have James Conner ranked higher than him. Oh, my God. Yeah, so James Conner's my number 19. BTJ is my number 20. Frosty says, I missed my answer. Do I go DJ Moore, Hampton, or Pearsall? I go Hampton there. Thank you. Freddie, what's up, man? Says, why Adams over Ricky? I expect that Tennessee Titans matchup to be a little bit softer as they have a couple injuries in the secondary. Thank you. We got about 4 minutes prior to the start of kickoffs. Angel says, PPR start to Bucky, ETN, Hampton, Devontae Smith in the flex. I need to check where I have Devontae. I think I have them higher than a lot of these alternatives that you mentioned. So I would go with Bucky Irving, and I would go with Devontae Smith there. Thank you. Andrews, Pitts, or Ferguson, full PPR. Let me see. Ferguson is still... I'd still go Mark Andrews there. But Ferguson is very much so within the realm of possibility, which I don't mind the play. Juwan Johnson or David Njoku. If it's full PPR, I'll take Juwan Johnson. If it's a half PPR, I'd go David Njoku. DJ Moore or Jalen Warren. I have Jalen Warren ranked higher. Swift or Javonte? Javonte. Then Pollard, K9, Charbonnet, pick 2. If I have to start that situation of Pollard, K9, Charbonnet, I probably just play both the Seattle running backs just to make sure I don't lose any value. Pearsall or Swifty in a full PPR, I'd rather just play Pearsall there. Would y'all start Mike Evans or Tet McMillan? Honestly, I mean, what are they ranked in my list here? I've got Evans at 21 and Tet at number 23 in a full PPR. It's close. I'd probably just stick with Mike Evans, the GOAT. Pollard or Hendo? I'd rather go Pollard. Coleman or Jordan Mason, full PPR? I'd rather just play Keon Coleman there. I have him ranked higher on screen. I just checked. Nick A sends in a question. It says Pickens or Rome Odunze or Jalen Warren in a half PPR. I believe I have Jalen Warren ranked the highest of the group. Let me just confirm this. I do have Jalen Warren ranked highest. Thank you. Full PPR, Devontae Adams or Michael Pittman Jr. I'd rather play Devontae Adams. Chris Olave or George Pickens? I'd rather play Chris Olave. Timestamp says happy birthday, big dog. Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Hendy or Hunter. Depends on format. I think if we're playing in a half PPR, I'd rather play Hendy. If it's a full PPR, I'd probably rather play Hunter. Jose says, okay, we took care of that one. We're good to go. Ryan Lawrence sends in a question. Says, non-PPR, pick 1. Devontae Smith, Ricky Pearsall, Ramondre Stevenson, Jerry Jeudy. I'm going to go with Devontae Smith there, Ryan. Thanks, man. Constantino says, what's up, Alucard? PPR, who the heck is Alucard? PPR, DJ Moore, pick or Olave. DJ Moore, Pickens or Olave. Of the available, give me DJ Moore. Henry or Pitts, give me Henry. Bucky, Jonathan Taylor, Brees. I play Jonathan Taylor and Bucky there. Unfortunately, Brees should probably be in your flex position kid Cardi, but if he's not able to fit there, then he's odd man out. Football says full PPR, sit Hampton for Devontae Smith. Yes, I would. Wandell or Njoku, tight end premium. Play Njoku there. Tet or Pickens? Give me Tet. Daniel Hope for the final question of this morning. JMO, Diggs, or Tillman? As of right now, in a half PPR, I have JMO ranked the highest. Thank you. All right, guys. That's going to cover for me today. I appreciate y'all coming through, supporting the channel, whether it's via your viewership, whether it's via clicking the like button. For those of you who sent in supers, for those of you who signed up via Patreon, sign up via Betr. Greatly appreciated, guys. Again, we'll be back tomorrow talking about all things waiver wire prior to the 2 games that take place tomorrow. Again, do not forget there are 2 games tomorrow, Chargers versus the Raiders and Tampa Bay versus the Houston Texans. But that's going to cover for me today. I appreciate y'all. Hopefully I was able to answer your question. Let's see here. What does this one say? Do I drop Jonnu Smith to pick up Isaiah Likely and pick him? Yeah, that's fine. And then pick up Gerald. Yeah. Drop Jonnu Smith, pick up Likely, put him in the IR, then pick up Fannin. Yes. DK or Ladd in a standard scoring. Give me Ladd McConkey there. Full PPR Dolphins. Okay. Offer my Evans and JCM for Nico Collins. Do I take it? It depends on how stacked you are at running back, man. All right, guys. It's 10 a.m. I appreciate y'all. Have a great rest of your Sunday. Hopefully, of course, we're coming away with victories today. But that's what we're going to call it here. Much love. Have a great rest of this Sunday. And let's just hope for the best. No injuries, guys. No injuries. I'll see you guys. Peace.